Good evening, Indiana wrestling fans, and welcome to IndianaMat Guerrilla Radio episode number 200. Now, here are your hosts for the evening, Mike Reiser and Joe Caprino.
That's about the only way we're ever going to get our names announced by him.
I think so too.
Well, I think the cat's out of the bag of who our special guest is. So we'll get some people on the stream. Welcome, Kevin, for joining us.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the invite.
The retired announcer for Indiana wrestling. What is it? 42 years? 40.
I did 42 announcing and a 43rd actually working the tournament.
Nice.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of it's kind of a cool story. You kind of did what I do with things. Someone gives me a little bit of an idea, then I just run with it. How did you get into the announcing portion of the state finals?
I guess it went back to when I had first started doing radio. As I mentioned, I did school radio at Franklin Central for their sectional. And at the time, when the state was moving from Southport to Market Square Arena, Larry Haney, who was athletic director at Franklin Central, was the school meet director. So he knew I had background in the sport. Obviously, he had been athletic director there when I was wrestling and continued to stay in touch with him post-wrestling. This was only 5 years after I graduated from high school. So, having been involved in the tournament, the sectional tournament at Franklin Central, he asked if I would like to be involved in the tournament when it moved downtown, and I was obviously elated to do that, just to be there. But the announcer the first couple of years was Marvin Hawkins, who had been the announcer at Southport, and he and Larry Copeland and I were working between county, the semi-state, and the state finals, several tournaments together. And I had done some of the lower levels. I did the sectional on radio. I had done Franklin Central hosting the semi-state in 80 and 81. So he knew that I had an interest in announcing as well. And when I came up with the idea there in 82 to gather some biographical information on the 12 boys that were involved in the state championship matches, I just went out on the mat and got it. None of that stuff was actually in the program at the time, records, falls, the kind of thing that are part of the introduction. So I just went out and talked to the guys individually, brought all that back and had it, was ready to hand it to Marvin. And he says, "Do you want to just go ahead and do it?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do it." And he could tell that I enjoyed just making the introduction so much. He kind of smiled and patted me on the back, and he says, "You want to do the finals?" I said, "Yes, absolutely." So I did the finals that year, and that's where it started.
That's crazy. That's it's always neat to hear stories like that where it just fell into your lap and like, okay, and just take it.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was right place at the right time and recognizing an opportunity when it came around, I guess.
Yeah, and then to 42 years later,
right?
You didn't know it was a 42-year-long job, did you?
Never in my wildest dreams expected that. No.
Yeah, that's and on the first first time I went to state my senior year in high school, and it's like, oh my goodness, not that I didn't work hard or anything, but it was like, if I'd have heard the voice, just the atmosphere, not only your announcing, but just the whole atmosphere, I was like, man, I probably would have worked a little bit harder. I'd have tried a little bit, find a little bit better, training and things like that. And it's like, oh man, that's so cool. So, always really cool.
That, although I wouldn't have wanted you to have worked any harder on my account.
Yeah. So, so what have you been doing since the retirement from wrestling? You still kind of staying involved, or?
I did a little bit last year, but this year I have, as I was mentioning earlier, I haven't gone to a single meet or worked a single meet. Just kind of thinking that it's a good idea to put some distance between the old career and maybe dipping the toe back in and do a little something. We'll see.
So we tonight are going to rank. Mike and I are going to rank some of the top 5 names that were as pronounced by Kevin Whitehead, and obviously he can pronounce them. A good one that he should be able to do. So he's also going to give some of his honorable mentions. I'm sure your list over 40 years, you've probably had quite a few favorites.
Quite a few favorites and quite a few that I'm sure I've forgotten. Quite a few names that I actually initiated the pronunciations for, because sometimes you just don't know. You got to take your best shot. In fact, that was part of the intrigue of it early on. You were talking a bit ago off air about adventures with putting the bracket together and the bracket show together yesterday. Back in the early days, in the 1980s, we would gather a group of us. In fact, Homer and Larry were part of that, who would go to the state or go to the IHSAA on Sunday after Semi-State Saturday and actually physically put the brackets together at that time. Now, this was so far before technology. This was even before faxes. So the information would be delivered to the IHSAA offices by foot, by car, either somebody taking off Saturday night and coming in after the Semi-State was over, or leaving real early on Sunday morning, delivering the hand copies to the hard copies to us by hand. Somebody would sit there with the stack from Merrillville, somebody from Fort Wayne, somebody from Newcastle, somebody from either Evansville or Seymour at the time, which was the southern sites. And Bob Gardner was commissioner for most of that time and would say, okay, starting 98, I need Evansville 1. And whoever had Evansville would read it off. He would check the spellings. And, okay, Fort Wayne 4. Okay, Newcastle 3, line by line for 12 weights at the time. And that's how we put the brackets together. And I always chose to get the Semi-State information out of Merrillville, because those were some of the coolest names and the ones that I knew I was going to have to work on the hardest. So it was really interesting. It was cool, and it was interesting because at that time, that in many cases was the first exposure. I was in central Indiana that I would get to what was going on in Merrillville or Fort Wayne or Evansville. There was no statewide information dispersal the way there is these days. So you were seeing a lot of these names and hearing about a lot of these kids for the first time, unless they happened to be returning to the state. So there was a lot to learn.
Yeah, that's kind of it. We're kind of spoiled by being able to get everything so quickly now, especially
Right.
like track wrestling and stuff.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
You never think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And as you said, the Maryville, East Chicago area is very diverse with their last names, and
yes.
luckily Mike knows how to butcher them the best.
Oh man, like you were saying, I just took the best shot, and some people are like, "Oh man, like how did you know all those names?" Is like said it with confidence.
The first few years, I was really nervous about making any kind of mistakes, but I got to the point in my announcing career where people would say, well, that's how Whitehead says it. I guess that's the way it is. But honestly, the first few years, I was so intent on getting everything right that I would go back. This was when we were still at Market Square Arena. I went back with the kids at weigh-in, and I would take my bracket, and anybody that I felt like I needed a check on when they came through to get weighed, I would ask them, okay, is it this? Is it that? And that was almost useless. They just, they weren't paying attention. They didn't care. Even something as simple as, okay, is this a short A or a long A in your name? I said, either way. It doesn't matter. Well, it matters to somebody.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're going to come tap me on the back and tell me it matters.
Yeah.
You just add up the pronunciation to the bio page, which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
well, that's helpful. That's helpful.
They can put in their own pronunciation. I kind of thought about it, and then Mike said that, and then actually Mike Gable, I was talking to him, and he said, "Man, that'd be good." I don't know how many people have updated it yet, but I did put a couple in there that were kind of hard. So it's kind of, it's that way we can pronounce them correctly, and everyone wants to pronounce correctly. So
yeah, and we butcher them on the show all the time. So and people just tell us in the comments, and they give us the phonetics, so it's a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, having started with wrestling, I actually got the opportunity to do the football state finals for a few years in the early 90s. And I did find out that your best route to getting correct pronunciations was to either find a manager who had it on the ball or a cheerleader. They know how to pronounce the kids' names. It's easier because you're only dealing with, 4 to 6 teams rather than 100. But some of those wrestlers could be unreliable sources even on their own names.
Yeah, well, they're more worried about getting weighed in, getting their
food. Oh, it's completely understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. So, I guess any other good tidbits of working the early days of Market Square Arena, and I was watching those videos today just to hear some of the names and the Oregon and everything. I'm like, man, that was so cool. And it sounds, I'm like, man, it was 25 years ago.
and we kind of missed it when we transitioned over to the field house to begin with, but now it's kind of a timestamp. It's kind of a moment in time where it was different, which is cool. You kind of like to see the progression, but also feel the nostalgia when you hear something out of the 80s or 90s.
Yeah. So
I will say, you ask about the early days at the arena. There were a couple of years when the ice were still playing hockey, and we put the mats down on top of the ice, and that was pretty interesting. And the very first year we were there, we walked in just to kind of case the joint to begin with, and the rodeo had just finished. And
come back.
Oh no, he got froze.
He froze right on the rodeo. Hold on.
It was wild. We kind of wonder what we got ourselves into. I didn't, but I was just happy to be there. But
tell us what
Mr. Haney
just froze up
a little
for a second about the rodeo. You said the rodeo was there. You froze up for a second. We didn't.
The rodeo had just left Market Square. We were coming in the week of the finals.
Nice. That's in Fort Wayne. They do it on the ice. They have the stuff on the ice. That's how it's done. And then usually the circus is in there a week or two before, and you can still. I don't think they have very many animals now, but you used to be able to smell the.
At that time you would have. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but okay. So let's go over our top 5 names. And let me switch to I think this is the one that has the. I need to add whoa.
Well, there was always a couple too where they're not on the names list, but that just are state finals things to me. For us, we always say semi-state, and when you say it, you say semi-state, and it's oh, now we're here. When you hear that, that's one of those things. And they're in the Parade of Champions. Obviously, Modern Day always had a really good run, and I felt like when they were coming out, you said 9 wrestlers from Evansville, Modern Day, and they would go all nuts because they'd always have a huge crowd, which was always one of those things that was always real cool.
Yeah, I was always hoping to get enough guys to state where I think because the one time we had 5 kids, you'd say 5 wrestlers from Carroll High School. That's always a I don't know, a status symbol, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's something special. Something that didn't apply to very many schools, and it was worthy of recognition.
Yeah.
With the tournament, best 10 wrestlers from, Crown Point High School, the East Chicago semi-state champion. It would always be like one of those things. And I assume obviously we're pretty invested in the sport, but if you're just a random fan there, you don't know anything about it, you're just a parent that's showing up. I feel like those are the type of things that are huge, we have a couple unbeaten seniors going on mat number 2. And then everyone's oh man, if I'm just a casual fan, I want to see these 2 guys in the state semifinals that are undefeated, which is always really cool. Which is something and I've got to announce a couple, and obviously not at the level that you were. It's something that I would take away, because if you're there, hey, these are the number 1 and 2 ranked guys, or a couple once beaten seniors, and then I think it gives those guys the recognition of hey, not that they're going to stop the tournament, but they can see, hey, this is what a good match is going to be, and these guys are going to be, just kind of more eyes on it. I think that's just helping the sport better grow.
More it was sort of my responsibility to be a master of ceremony, to kind of focus attention where it needed to be, to get folks engaged when they needed to be engaged, and to let people know we had something special going on. And and beyond that, and we won't get to any of these names when we're going through our list tonight. But I also would look out for guys that were, juniors and seniors, especially seniors, who might have gotten in as a third or fourth place guy, 10 or 12 losses, probably weren't going to get very far, and this was going to be their time. And I kind of tried to give them a little extra bump, especially on Friday night, because this might be the only time they were going to get introduced at the state. And even getting to the state one time was such a massive achievement that they needed their moment, So I guess that was the old competitor in me, knowing that, hey, if I'd even had a chance to get here once, it would have been the thrill of a lifetime. So we're going to make sure these guys know they're appreciated and recognized.
Yeah, it's such just talking about Coach Gable yesterday a little bit, just the pageantry and everything, the way the IGSA does things. It's really cool. Obviously, you were a big part of that too, but it just, the way they present everything, and it's very well showcased, and the IGSA really takes pride in the wrestling state finals. They take it, all of the state finals, in all honesty, are great venues, and they're always, even last year, they made sure that Evansville was going to be a great venue and did everything they could to make it a really cool event. They had the fire stacks when they introduced everybody. So
Evansville owned it. They just did a tremendous job.
Yeah, it was really cool in Evansville.
No surprise.
I was pretty impressed. We had a lot of fun there.
I worked at Semi-State for a few years, and it was a crown jewel of Semi-States too. They really love their wrestling, and like I was just talking about, they want these guys to know that their efforts are appreciated.
Yep. So let's get into our rankings, I guess. Mike, do you want to go with your number 5, or do you want me to start?
You go ahead and start, and then I think I started last week.
Okay, I'm going to go Angel Escobedo.
Oh, I had Angel on. We should have got these together, right? That's what you said, but I never sent it.
Yes. Uh-oh. Do you have the same one, or are you gonna change it?
I can change it.
Okay.
But that's not what I had there.
Well, it's not necessarily. He won multiple titles. He can show up on multiple lists.
We just want to
right?
We can.
My number 5, I went with a cheat one. I think anytime there was like an abbreviated name, and I'll just use AJ Fowler. Like anytime there was a TJ and AJ, I think that those were always ones that like I felt like hit a little harder.
So yeah, AJ hit a little close to home since the Fowlers were Calumet kids.
Yeah, friends, man.
Any comment on our first two? What kind of names were some of the favorites that you like? As like types of names that you like, or just were there any ones that like you really were like, oh, this is gonna be a cool name to pronounce?
Well, yes, there were, but your question specifically about types of names is kind of where it would start with me. Things that were good were if they had one multisyllabic name, one either first name or last name that had 3 or 4 syllables, preferably not both. We talked about Razunaguko a while ago, and you could just get lost in the weeds with that one because the first and last names went forever. But if you can punch one and then draw another one out to some crescendo, that was good. The point that Mike just made about initials, also good, because those can be easy to punch as well. And a couple of my favorites, I don't have a list of 5, but I've got some guys listed that kind of represent the things that I'm talking about. The general rule in announcing or emceeing is anything you can do to get the crowd involved is good. So if you've got a wrestler that's on a roll or a wrestler that's really talented, it's easier because there's more eyes on them and more interest in them to begin with. So that's the other thing. So syllables, initials, hard vowels, J's, K's, D's, something you can really hit,
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you can put them all together, when you've got initials, hard vowels, and multisyllabic names, then you're in heaven.
Yeah. My number 4, it just was mentioned, TJ Hayes, and as my first state finals. And unfortunately, what he lost in, I want to say in the quarterfinals, maybe the semifinals, but it was like when he first was done, the whole crowd was getting into it, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then when he lost, it was like TJ Hayes.
Well,
it wasn't as exciting. It's still some people got into it, but that one really like caught my attention.
That was lightning in a bottle. That was something very, very special.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, and especially my first state finals, obviously. And you're like, wow, that's pretty neat. This crowd just get into it, and it wasn't just Belmont people, even though probably half of it was Belmont, the other half was Mater Dei.
So he had won it the year before.
Yeah.
And that's when the legend kind of began. And I actually saw him out in the corridor before he went in for one of his matches and said, TJ, we're making one another famous. He smiled at me.
Yeah.
That was something else.
So, Mike, what was your number 4?
My number 4, not a region guy, so I didn't go all region. The Weinzaffel family, I always felt like that was one I would probably butcher if I seen it, but I felt like when you hit the Weinzaffels, those were good names, and those guys won a couple titles too.
Thunder.
Yeah, I had a lot of practice. That's right. It helped.
Yeah. So, my number 3, gotta go with some Fort Wayne love. Anton Talamantes. I know some people were. I think that might have. I think that one might. What was that? The one that someone that cued the whole idea here was when on Facebook when we posted our top 5 wrestlers.
Right.
Someone's like, whenever I hear that name, I hear it in Kevin Whitehead's voice.
In my voice.
Yeah. And you commented, me too.
Me too. Yeah, that's right. So do I. Well, interestingly, now, and I've got the Talamantes name on my list of notes, not list of 5, but list of notes. Yeah. And that had actually started years before with Rico.
Yes.
In 1992, which was actually were I to make a list, I would put that one slightly ahead because of the hard C.
Yes.
Rico, easier to work with than Anton.
Yeah.
But Anton won it twice, so props to him.
Yep. But both great.
Talamantes is great, though. Talamantes is a perfect example of extra syllables, the hard T, plus you can draw it out. So lots to work with. Just give me something to work with,
Yes. Not a Smith or a Jones. Sorry.
Well, if you got a Smith or a Jones, then you better go to Mechaniqua. Yes. At least give me that to work with.
Or a Jason Cook. Oh, wait, he's in there. I always have to give Cook a hard time. So your number 3, Mike.
My number 3 is going to be I left them off my all-time wrestlers list, but the Surtees brothers, Alex and Jason. I felt like when those guys were going through, and it got I felt like it got better, and then obviously you had 4 with Alex, and then another 4 with Jason.
Yeah, talk about plenty of time to practice, huh?
Yeah, those are good ones. My number 2, let me double check my list, is went a little bit. And this one is also another one with, I don't know, we're picking a lot of brothers and stuff. Bill Maldonado.
Ah, man, you took 2 of mine.
See, that's why you should have gone first.
You got 2 Maldonados coming up, Mike?
I had Escobedo and Maldonado.
In addition to, okay. When you said 2 of mine, I first thought you meant you had multiple Maldonados, but now I know that's not what you're saying. But on my notes, I actually just said anyone named Maldonado. It doesn't matter. David, William, Jacob. Maldonado could get that thing to bounce off every corner of the arena. Good stuff.
It's no surprise that, like you said, the Maryville names were always ones that you always kind of were excited to see and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Obviously, half our list is Maryville, New Chicago names. So
Those of us at the top like a challenge, you know.
Man, that was you took two of the ones I had picked. I like Paul Petrov. I felt like Paul Petrov was a good one.
Hanover, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going with one more raging guy.
Petrov did have, not to interrupt, Joe, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Petrov did have the alliteration. That's one thing I didn't mention, the two P's for Paul Petrov. But alliteration could be good too if it was a good letter to use that way. And P is sort of a soft hard, but it works. Yeah, that was a good one.
So my last one is Leroy Vega. I actually just listened to one a little bit ago. I'm like, oh, that was a real good one. There was a good Leroy, kind of the two syllables on both the names. So
yeah, good cadence, good rhythm. Yeah.
So
I almost went homer here because it was my first state finals. I am going to go. I have two, but I want to go homer. I changed it up on the fly because I did have Angel Escobedo or Mike Escobedo. And then I also had Bobby Joe Maldonado or Timmy Maldonado. They were there when I was going through. I'm going to go with my guy, first day finals, 1999, Thurman Stone. And then the other one I had was Cash Kyorga. I thought Cash was a good one too.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, I missed putting that one down, but that's a good, and it's unintentional cadence with that one and alliteration with that one because it was a C and a Q, but they work together. Same sound.
Yeah. I have a couple. And you just might as well pronounce this one, Rushamagro. I can't even say it, so I don't even. The Franklin Central heavyweight.
Sunagura Razunaguko. Yeah.
Man.
And I told you I had an inside track on that one because I was a Franklin Central guy too. So I had done him on the radio broadcast and the county. I was doing Marion County at that time and the semi-state. So I couldn't get that one right after that many tries. Plus he won the state. So he gave me 4 shots the year that he won the state. Plus the span.
Yeah, and he actually probably heavyweights are the ones you don't want to mess up their names the most because they can throw you around.
I don't want to, they can all throw me around. I don't. I tried to get everybody right.
Yeah. What? Any other honorable mentions, Mike? Before we get into Kevin's list.
Yeah, I was kind of scrolling them. I felt like Oren Kleinheitz, is it Kleinheitz from Columbus North? I felt like he was there a couple of years. Those were pretty good.
I had DJ Radanovich, obviously, like you said. I didn't want to go too many initial names because those are always good.
He had it all. He had the initials. He had the multisyllabic last name. He had hard vowels. And with Radnovich, he had something you could growl.
Yeah.
If there was ever a perfect name for the list, it was DJ Radnovich.
And he was pretty physically intimidating too.
Yes, he was. Just talking about not wanting to get one wrong.
Yeah.
He was a monster.
Like we were talking with someone that you did announce, Cameron Sakon. And we were talking yesterday on the way home and he's like, and I was telling him about it. And he's like, oh, any of the ones with initials, you could just have a list of just the initials, the AJ, the TJ,
right?
Those types of things. So, any other ones, Mike?
I had TJ and DJ both on my notes, and we've talked about both of them.
I also had Marcus Schontube.
Oh yeah, Lowell.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, any other ones, Mike?
That was it.
That was it. No.
Yeah, well, you snaked 2 of them, so I had to do a couple on the fly.
So, which ones were some of your favorites on your list?
Well, the other ones that I had, we had mentioned TJ Hayes, and I was going to kind of start off talking what I was going to mention by saying, the best names are the ones that get the best response. TJ, I had the whole other side of the gym from where I was announcing going with me on that one. And you've mentioned a couple of times how responsive the modern day crowd could be. And they echoed the same thing with Dan Jankowski, which was called out Dan Jankowski. And by the time I was into Jan, they were all with me. He was not a state champion, of course. He was a runner-up, but avenged that the following week at Team State. And so he's got a special place in my list. Any of the skis, whether it's the Region skis or John Kopnoski from Carmel, it's got a great sound that you can really punch. You mentioned a couple of other modern day guys. I like Matt Armentano, against for being able to bounce the tonneau off the top of the stadium. Another Franklin Central guy was a good one, Jake O'Brien, who was Jake O'Brien. Couldn't get enough people working with me on that one, but I hope they appreciated and there's one in the pipeline right now. I had him twice. You got him again this year, but Jake Hockaday has got everything going for him. Got 3-syllable last name, hard vowel, 2 hard vowels in the J and the K in the first name. Plus he's a monster. Yes. So between all of that, he's got to be on the list, even though most of these guys are old timers. This is as good as any of them.
Yeah. If you need a Jake Hockaday sticker, I can probably get you one. I got one on my computer. I don't know if you watched saw it on the show yesterday, but
no,
he has his own stickers. Yeah. My computer got Jake at Team State this year.
Okay. The only other one that I really have always had a soft spot in my heart for, in fact, I would have said this was number one for a lot of years, goes back to 1990, Demetrius Jackson from South Bend, Washington. Demetrius, syllables, Jackson, and he also was a monster, and that didn't hurt. But yeah, I love that name, Demetrius Jackson.
Yeah, those are some pretty cool names. I definitely, some of it, like I said, I was watching some of the old videos and stuff and trying to see like if there were any names I missed and stuff. It's kind of cool to see those videos. So if you're bored, if you're ever bored, go search Indiana State Finals on YouTube, and there's a lot of older, like 90s to early 2000s. So
good old cool. VHS tape stuff. Yeah.
Yes. I definitely would. I want to get I'd love to get them on, put them on YouTube and stuff. I talked to the IHSA. I think I know some people there now.
You got them. Yeah.
So I do have one other honorable mention, and I got to give you credit for this one. And this one was a very special one. It was done about 9 years ago, about 8 years and about 11 months ago. Rocco Caprino.
That's right.
I definitely have to give you a shout out for that. I knew, obviously, is a cool name, but I guarantee there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people that saw you or heard you at the state finals and said, I want to name my kid so that he can announce it like really cool.
Well, I mean, that's the ultimate payment for all of this. Yeah. The comments that we're getting, it doesn't matter if you had what any of us would call a memorable name. It was memorable to somebody, and it made a difference to somebody. Yep. And like I said, I always try to give my best, because this might be the only time you're going to get your name announced at state, and you deserve recognition.
Yep. So if anyone doesn't know that, Kevin did a little birth announcement when Rocco was born, and I kind of jokingly said, I hope that you're around long enough to announce his name at the state finals, which I knew the odds of that were pretty slim.
Right.
But it's pretty cool little announcement. So I played it a few times for him, and he gets a pretty big smile out of that. So I might be calling you this spring here to do announcements for our travel baseball team for their lineups. So
I've done some baseball. I haven't done it for a long time, but I've done some baseball. I love doing baseball. Yeah.
So, I know Eric McGill wanted you to get the Cubs announcing job when they were changing. He's like, "You think we can get Kevin Whitehead?" I said, "I don't know, man. Reach out, maybe."
Hey, it's an honor to have been mentioned. Believe me.
Yes.
That would be the one job I'd leave Louisville for.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool job. Sit up
Yes, it
there
would.
and hear that name. When you hear the announcer's name, when we see him like in different places, like whoa, that voice. So, um, any other comments? Any other good memories from state finals?
Oh, tons of them. But no, it was a great ride. I couldn't believe that I had the chance to do it for as long as I did. And I'm thankful for all the people that helped me and all the people that remember me. And I just hope I made the tournaments a little better and some people's lives a little brighter. It was a labor of love and a privilege to get to do it.
No, we appreciate everything you've done, and it's such like when you hear the state like narration of like state wrestling, it's always in your voice and stuff. So it's kind of crazy to think that you kind of just asked to do one little thing, and 40 years later you're still doing it.
Better be careful. Well, that's one of the rules of wrestling, isn't it? You volunteer to do something, you better be willing to do it for a long time.
Yes, that is 100%. It's just like this website. I just started it, I just wanted a nice place people can talk wrestling and stuff, and now we're
200 episodes ago.
9 hours of podcasts on the freaking semi-state.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for joining us. I definitely want to say thank you for doing that thing for Rocco 9 years ago. That was really cool, and just hearing your voice is always cool. I everything you've done for the state is really, when Indiana people talk about our state finals and we talk about our announcer, everyone's like, is this guy like a professional? Does he do it all full time? And like, this is basically his only time he really announces big time stuff.
1 month a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone was, when then you show some videos of it and they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And it added to just the whole pageantry of the state finals, and something that we always, everyone greatly appreciated. And you definitely left a mark on Indiana wrestling just by saying people's names.
But I love doing the Parade of Champions too. I always I got a little bit nervous before we get started, and get settled in. And when I started with Adams Central, I was usually a little shaky, but by the time I got to Zionsville, I was in the groove, ready to go for a day and a half.
Yeah. That's a lot of talking and a lot of announcing, especially when they didn't have the everyone didn't know where all the wrestlers were going, so you had to announce where everyone was going.
Right. So, well, that's something we didn't talk about, but that's really true. The role of the announcer was so different and carried a lot more responsibility. They didn't know they were going. You didn't have results either on your phone or scrolling on the screen above you. The only way you knew what happened is if I told you, or if you got all the way up and went out and looked at the wall bracket out by the Arby's stand. And I remember, things were so hectic. I was trying to get introductions together for the finals while the final consolations were running, and I just couldn't keep up with both at one time. So I would let things sort of accumulate and tell folks, we'll get your programs caught up here in a few minutes, and you could hear people turning pages and writing stuff down as I would talk. So you were the pipeline, you were the information portal if people were going to know what was going on. And tell you the truth, I kind of missed that as we got toward the end. I could say somebody's name, but they really didn't need the information. The scores were up there. If they weren't up there, you could get them with the push of a button. So I became a little less important, but tried to stay as entertaining.
Yeah, I think it was such a big part of the event. Like even like now, like everyone's saying in the comments, like just the way you said things is like what comes to your ears, right? Like Kyle Ersman said, who you get to say 4 times at the state finals, 3 in the finals. So he still says Evansville Mater Dei, just like you. Same though.
That's funny. Yeah. Coach Gable actually told me that when their little kids program had wrestle-offs, they would introduce one another using my voice.
That's awesome.
The 8 and 9 year olds. Yeah.
They got to get them. They got to get them started, because
that's right.
Most of them were gonna get their names announced by you anyway.
Eventually, anyhow. Yeah, that's right. Just like I did their dads and uncles.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least you had good practice with a lot of those last. It's like
Mike mentioning Weinzeffel. That's right. That kept coming back. Yeah.
There was a lot of
them. I'm sure it's not done.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few more coming up. They're good old Catholic families. They have lots of kids, so they just come in waves.
and they all
Big
wrestle. And they all wrestle.
Well, thank you for joining us. I definitely appreciate this on a whim. Sent you a message on Saturday, and you're like, I got 2 days to figure out a list. So
Hey,
it's pretty neat to hear.
I haven't had to worry about not getting a sore throat like I have for 40 years, and haven't had to worry about the weather driving to Indianapolis like I have for 40 years. So I can spend a couple of days putting a list together.
Yeah, man. Rex Brewer said he predates you. I mean, he must be really old if he predated you.
Can't even imagine.
I mean, did they even have like electricity back when Brewer wrestled? I gave Rex a hard time. That's a given. So, thank you for joining us and gave us quite a insight to a little bit of what goes on in announcing. And I'm glad you're enjoying retirement. So we hope to see you soon.
Well, thank you for the invite, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Yep. And maybe we'll have you on again.
I'd love to do something like this again. So
take care, and I'm sure you'll be watching and keeping tabs on Indiana wrestling. You can't get it out of your blood, can you?
No, I don't know. I'd never try. Maybe I could, but I'd never try.
Probably too hard to go cold turkey on that kind of on this kind of stuff. And it's funny how many people just, whether they're retired or what, their kids graduate, they still stick around the sport because they've been involved so much for so long. So.
It's just nice to be able to do it when you want to and at your own pace.
Yes, very much so. So,
all right, guys, appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for the introduction. We're going to we're going to just hire you to introduce us every week. So we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, man. Have a good week.
Yep. So, there is, let's see if I can. That was pretty good.
That was good.
So thanks, Kevin, for joining us. And 40 minutes of talking names.
I'm sure a lot of people tuned in and saw that. We're pretty happy.
Yeah. I figured it'd be a little surprise. Hopefully people got a little bit of the hint. And definitely thanks to Joe Ardizoni. I think he's the one that kind of gave me the idea to do that. And it's pretty cool. So semi-states. Give us a little bit of a rundown on how semi-states went, and I'm going to build some brackets because I have not built the brackets yet.
Oh, I'm going solo semi-states?
Well, go ahead, and I'm going to get my stuff ready. So, man, we got a 10 out of 10 from Tim Carter. That's even better. He even accepted my friendship request on Facebook yesterday.
And I saw that you got the shout out to the Butler McDonald's during the show.
I got stock in the Butler McDonald's. I better go through the roof now.
Honestly, I felt like overall that the rankings held up pretty well. Obviously there's gonna be some tough matchups. We talked about it last week, but not a ton of crazy upsets. We had one in East Chicago. I'll kind of start there. Probably could have started at Fort Wayne. It was the first one on the bracket. I didn't like that the track wrestling didn't put the scores on the backside. So I'm not gonna go every bracket. 106, a couple of upsets there. I know Nick Freeze was having a really good year. Julian DeLuna over him. Sam Westfall over Cruz Aweta in the finals there. Noah Verduzco still dominating, looked really good at 113. Gavin Lewis looked really good at 120. I think he dominated. A lot of the finals matches early on were pretty lopsided. 126, Gavin Gendress over Matthew Maldonado. Matthew Maldonado had a really good ticket round match with Max Quiros. I know that was the write-up I did on the crowdsourcing the East Chicago semi-state. I was a little disappointed we didn't get more. I seen Dante in here, so I appreciate Dante doing too. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of criticism of our picks and our ideas and what we say on the air. And I gave everybody an opportunity to air out any grievances they wanted to do. And guess what? Only 4 people took it. So it's not a rant, but there's a lot of people that say a lot of stuff under their breath. And when I said, hey, put it down on paper, they're like, you know what, pass. So, but I talked about that Quiros and Maldonado match. Quiros got a takedown or reversal late, 10 seconds left. Maldonado got an escape to tie it back up to send it to overtime. and then got the takedown in OT. So real good match there. He ran it to the finals. He beat Vargo on a pretty close match. I believe it might have been overtime also. So he won back-to-back overtime matches. Cam Wood knocked out one seed and then ran it to a fourth-place finish. Lane Horn, a real good one over Landon Hawkins. Good match. Rematch of last year's semifinals. Evan Stanley, dominant, looked really good. Kind of a buzzsaw. Jeffrey Hyvert, again, buzzsaw people. Really good. Marlon Kirksey, Michael Ortega, good match, really good match. We talked about Tegan Newell a little on the page, jumping from 106 to 150. That's a pretty significant jump in weight in one season. And to punch your ticket in both those weights, pretty impressive.
Yes, it was. That it was kind of interesting to talk about some of the weight jumps and everything.
But we're not cutting weight anymore, right? We got a weight program in place.
Yes. So,
we've done away with the archaic weight cut.
Yeah, there's quite a few weight differentials and stuff that kids are coming down, coming up, and all sorts of fun things. So,
I think if you're the I don't even know if they care, honestly. But if you're the IHSA, look at the weight jumps from year to year. And then also on the side of that, look how many kids missed weight in the tournament. I don't know if the weight management program is working.
Yeah.
But I guess people aren't dying, so maybe it is. 157, Anthony Bustamante at Maryville won a real close ticket round match on a stall call in overtime. Griffin Van Tichel, Brant Beck was a really good semifinal match. Beck got the win there. MJ Staples, Brant Beck, battle of unbeatens. I think it ended up being a little bit further at the end, but with the 3-point takedown, it's hard to tell. I think he ended up winning by 6. I think Beck led him up in the third to make it 3, and then Staples ended up getting a takedown, remaining undefeated on the year. That's a good one we should have asked Kevin Whitehead for, an MJ Staples.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that was right in. That's really cool to hear kind of some of the things that he always liked with the syllables and it's like, man, that name was just perfect. So how do you like getting your name pronounced by him?
Yeah, it was good. It was a dream come true. I just became a little kid all over again. Yes. My brother, he said he sent you the picture from when I was 145. I was like, man, I wasn't even a little 45. You got some blonde highlights in there.
Yeah. Oh, you got the blonde. Man, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Back in 2001. Adrian Pallad kind of walked the semi-state again. Another road dominant one. Vinny Freeman, dominant. No Marcus in the house. Wyatt Davis over Emilio Tirado in the ticket round there of 2 guys that were ranked. Wyatt Davis, another guy, jumped 4 years, 113 to 175. Pretty significant. 2 semi-states.
Yeah.
Qualified.
That's the biggest jump from qualifying for state. So 113 to 175. Other than heavyweight, that doesn't count. So
Elijah Carter, Hammond Central, their first state qualifier. So congratulations to Kevin Persley. He did tell me he is a fan of the blind draw. So
hey,
he said he's been bit by it a couple times. So Cesar Salas, Devin Kendrick, real good final. Cesar's kind of pulled away at the end. Aiden Granger, Hobart Kai, kind of got in the lineup when Alec Tatum, who was a state qualifier last year as a freshman at 190, ended up he was banged up from football. He's a real good football player, so injuries kind of knocked him out of the lineup, and Granger was able to get in. And when you have a backup that can qualify for the state finals, it's pretty good for Hobart. And he's returning. Yeah. Same thing with Alessio Retzloff. I don't know if he was a backup, but I know he was at 75 a little bit. And 215, biggest upset at the East Chicago semi-state was probably Talon Gardner over Aiden Abad. And it was one of those things you looked away for a second, and he got pinned. Talon Gardner, big move guy, tried to rip a big headlock on Austin Reading in the semis too. Big kid. Bartosik and Reading. I know I posted on the board. I'm sure we talked about it on here. I think it's incredibly hard. Obviously, my parents are still alive, but anytime you lose someone and that's close to your life, it's incredibly hard. You've seen an interview with Jason Sertzis where he was talking about it at the NCAA's one year, about how the effect it took on him. I know our family had something traumatic happen like that, and my brother wrestled his senior year with that. I know it's incredibly hard. That was in October to February, and it was really tough. And he had lost his mom right around DAC, and sometimes wrestling can be an outlet where you just kind of go out and forget about the world for a couple hours and just practice and lock in. And for him to go out and beat Trey Dunning, who beat him last year at the semi-state, and then beat Everett McClelland, who I think had beat him at the DAC. That's a pretty good day for him, and then ran into the finals. So I'm really happy for him. I think the little backstories of some things, we're not always privileged to that. I know when we were talking to Gunnar Henry's grandfather at Team State, he said one of the years Gunnar had wrestled a kid that was dealing with something similar, and that he felt so bad that he couldn't get up for the match, and he just felt terrible. And I mean, Gunnar's a good kid. I'm sure Bartosik and Reading have wrestled. I'm sure they know each other pretty well. I'm sure that's a tough match for him. Like, you're happy to win, but you also know what he's dealing with. And I know the Crown Point community was really happy for Austin to punch his ticket. There's a picture on the Crown Point Bulldogs page of Griffin Van Ticho jumping about 10 feet in the air. So that was pretty cool. And then heavyweight, real good heavyweight class. Cameron Hazlett over Lucas Szymborski again. I mean, he's good. He's really good. I think people will be excited to see him this weekend. Once beaten freshman, Szymborski beat him at Al Smith, and he's taken the last 3. We talked about it before. I got, I guess, and you got to hear the messages too, because you get to be the rankings guy by association. And I get to be the tech guy by association.
Yeah, something you really like to do.
Yeah. Back click, forward space, click, click, right? I think the contra code is up, back, down, down.
Yeah.
So, Cam Hazlett, really good. We got some stuff for him being number 5, saying he's overrated. I think he's shown that he's not overrated. I think he was a little bit underrated.
Yeah.
He's really good. So I think everyone's going to have the privilege to see him next week now. He can go down and lose Friday night. Heavyweight's an exciting weight class, but pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Crown Point, I glossed right over this. 13 for 13 in the ticket round. Pretty amazing. That's obviously almost the most you could take. They could have went 14 for 14. Obviously, they lost Anthony Reinhardt early in the year to an injury. Not that it's a guarantee, but he's been every year he's been in the ticket round. He's won. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a lot of Crown Point hate out there, and it's kind of weird to me, because I think that there's more vocal fan bases on the board, and I think that there's teams that are obviously doing better than them, but they don't catch the same visceral as Crown Point. And it's like, well, they recruit. I was like, okay, these other teams are recruiting too.
Yeah.
Whether you call it recruiting or convenient move-ins, right? Whatever you want to call it. Maybe your coach isn't calling you and dropping you off a car, but the parents are definitely finessing people to get there. And they catch the most visceral. And I announced that I was on the mic when Szymborski won, that they had just gone 13 for 13 in the ticket round, setting the state record with 13 state qualifiers. And their section cheered, but no one else.
Yeah. I don't care whether you cheer for them or not. And this is 3rd or 4th year that they've had 10 plus at state, I want to say. I'd have to go double check my Matt, but they've been getting 10 plus them. And Center Grove had a down year with only 9 qualifiers. So, Swain's head's probably on the chopping block right now, only getting 9 qualifiers.
And they didn't have a single 4th place finisher.
Yeah.
Everyone finished 3 or better. They had a bunch of guys in the finals. During the 190 match, and Caesar's is as exciting to watch as any of the 190s. He's going to put up points. He's going to go. Him and Devin Kendricks, which I see in the state bracket. When did Devin Kendricks get another name, man?
I have no clue either.
Curveballs.
Man, yeah, I saw that on the bracket. I'm like, whoa, we gotta just add the last name there all of a sudden after 4 years. So congrats, I guess. I don't know what
those guys get after it.
The other one that threw me off
out there. I'm sorry, what?
So the other one that threw me off was Timmy Rocha as Timoto. I'm like, what? Timoto? Tomato?
When Caesar was wrestling, he has a very exciting style of wrestling. Him and Kendrick get after it too.
Yeah.
Coach Lorick was filling out their sheet. He's like, he'll probably get the only the whole gym's. That's the only guy the whole gym would cheer for from Crown Point. And I kind of was like, yeah, kind of, which is tough, man. We were always brought up with Coach Watkins, and I seen Coach Watkins this weekend. He gave me his the wrestling history thing. It's pretty awesome. He gave you a shout out in there, gave me a shout out in there. We were always brought up, if you didn't make it, you cheer for the region. It doesn't matter. Once you get to Indy, we're all going for each other. We might hate Griffith from the semi-state, the state series until the state finals, but we're all Alex Sertz's fans once we get down there. Right. And I think it's kind of churned weird against those guys, and I don't know why. So I don't know. Maybe that's my rant. I just see a lot more fan bases being very vocal on the board and not getting the same visceral as Crown Point.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. So okay, now that I got my brackets built, we can talk more. Bracket show yesterday. That was fun. It's always a cool time to be behind the scenes. They had some issues with and I've been there, done that with Excel. They have an Excel spreadsheet, and the references were going off. I remember, as I was saying pre-show, I was looking at 126, and there was D3, which I believe would be Fort Wayne, and which would be a Fort Wayne third placer. And at 126, it was Gendress. I'm like, this isn't right. I go, this one's wrong too. And so I got 3 or 4 versions of some of the weights, and so it was a little bit harder. Coach Gable, it took him a little time to get there from Evansville. I guess the roads weren't the best, so that was really that was kind of. I mean, he didn't get there till probably close to 1:30, which gives him about 2.5 hours to get ready, and we didn't even have all the brackets, so it was quite under the gun a little bit, just getting the brackets and making sure we had something to say about everybody. I did mess up twice. I will own up to my mess ups. First, I said that the Coach Shutley was the coach at Roncalli, and as soon as that came out of my mouth, I'm like, no, the slow motion. I could not couldn't stop the Shutley coming out. So I did apologize to him. He said that I'm on his list now or something. And then the 106-pound weight class, the bracket we have, I could even show it to you. I think I have it right beside me. Had the 2 on the bottom part. They had the 2 and 3s were switched from what they showed on the screen. So I'm watching the screen, and Coach Gable's going over that top part, and he goes the top one, and then he goes the bottom match. And I'm like, it threw me off, and I totally missed the saying anything about Reed Wicker. So I apologize.
And he's a hammer too, man. He had a good day.
Yeah, and I got thrown for a loop. I'm like, what? Oh crap! What do I do? Because it was. I mean, I saw it right away, and obviously he's kind of looking down at his sheet and everything, because we have big sheets with where some of them that's 106. So you get the big sheets. Put your notes in, what you're gonna say a little bit, so you have something to read off. And obviously, if you couldn't tell, about halfway through, Coach Gable wasn't able to get a lot of good information on everybody, so I was working through some of those other ones. That's why I threw up the laptop, and everyone saw the Jake sticker, and I heard the crowd in Brownsburg went wild for that. So a little behind the scenes stuff, but everything worked out. Got a lot of compliments from it, and I think it's a great thing that, as we were saying, the HSA puts on a great show for the kids. It's such a cool, they take a lot of pride in that, and the bracket show is really cool. Heath Shanahan was telling us, they were in a meeting one day, and he's like, "How do you guys do the brackets for Wrestling State?" And they're like, "Oh, we just give them a formula, put the link out, and they go and watch them." He's like, "Why don't we do a show?" And so kind of ended up running with that, and now they have a pretty cool show. I know they said there were probably about 2,000 people watching at once, at least, were tuned in just during the live, and then another about 1,000 more after that. So you consider there's probably 2 to 5, maybe 10 people per stream. That's quite a lot of people watching that. So
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I did apologize to Coach Richardson, Jim. Okay. That was the first thing I did. I can show you my emails. First thing I got when my car, I sent him an email. So I did apologize to him. So I don't think we need to go that far.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always cool to see you on there. Pretty interesting. Like, obviously, you guys do a good job.
So, what semi-state do we want to talk about?
We go to Allen Colony War Memorial Semi-State, where we had. I mean, I don't know if it's an upset. Like, it's a rankings upset, and I'm not saying it like in a negative way. We let the rankings play out. We're not gonna like messing with them after the sectional. Juliana Ocampo was undefeated. She was the highest ranking medalist returning in that weight. We knew Reed Wicker was really good. He ended up getting the win in the semis there.
He hit her for put her on her back. Had 7 early in the first period. She ended up getting a late escape, and then I want to say he didn't stop wrestling, but he wasn't gonna. He knew he stayed in safe positions after that, and that's what you got to do against her. She has a really good fireman. She has a really good like an arm roll on bottom, and she can get points pretty quickly. So he pretty much shut it down and wrestled in good position, kept and gave up some takedowns late. So the score was a little bit closer, but wrestled a real good match. And that's the first time I've really seen him against high-level competition. He looked really good. Joey Warner got second from Carroll, first freshman state qualifier for the Chargers. So that was pretty good. And I guess we might as well go on the rant we kind of were going on before. Adrian Troyer, a.k.a. Maligned, was at the Fort Wayne semi-state. I did keep him away from the Jay County Mafia.
We're going 113?
Yeah. I guess we might as well go. Yeah, we'll go on the 113. Bakari Cooper wins over Kay Jackson. Cooper looked real good. Really, really, really good. Pretty impressive. Rex Moore third, and then Charlie Fleshman fourth. So he was we were talking about Bakari Cooper and his ranking, and it's kind of interesting kind of comparing him and Ocampo a little bit. Both wrestled the same schedule. Ocampo comes in, she has verified criteria. She was a state medalist and returning the same weight. 3-time state qualifier, has quite a laundry list of accomplishments. Cooper, I think he was varsity like at 126.
Yep.
Didn't do very well last year, and I mean I saw him the first against Homestead. I'm like, man, this kid looks pretty good, but it's kind of weird.
You told me he looked really good. It got him in the rankings. I can tell you exactly why he moved down.
Yeah.
So if we get to that point,
yeah, go on, and I'll add some to it. But
yeah, so we were kind of talking off air about like the way it was when it was like kind of broke down. Losing Abram Swathwood. I mean, maybe he beats Abram Swathwood. Abram was wrestling really well. They're coming out of the same regional. And obviously he won the semi-state. We didn't know that was going to happen. So, or I didn't pick him to win the semi-state. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I did. I actually picked McVicker to qualify, so he proved me wrong 3 times. But with McVicker's wins and Swathwood being in the same regional, and obviously Kay Jackson was going to be a regional champ, and Rex Moore was going to be a regional champ. I just thought those guys kind of ahead of him, so he was going to hit one of those in the ticker round. On top of, like, and I'm not like saying like you can't have a bad day, but the rankings are a reflection of what you do during the season, not what you do during the postseason. I also didn't have Liam Weschler of Whiteland ranked, who pinned him at North Montgomery. So, I mean, Liam Weschler, who's not at the state finals, probably has a bigger argument that he wasn't in the final rankings when he pinned Bakari Cooper at North Montgomery.
Yeah.
I didn't get that email.
Yeah, that's one that wasn't on his profile, and that was a couple other little things. Like he didn't have like New Haven wrestles a solid. They have a solid schedule. So no one did. Oh, jeez. New Haven wrestles a solid schedule. They wrestle Homestead in a duel. Homestead has had Heisler there. Heisler wasn't at that early in the season. They wrestled Garrett in a duel. Garrett has some good wrestlers. They had a really good 113. He wasn't at weight that weekend. They wrestle in the N8 Northeast 8 with Belmont, Columbia City, Norwell, Leo. Pretty solid conference top to bottom, and all those teams usually have pretty solid wrestlers up and down their lineup. And they didn't have anyone to really put a good spot on him, to see where he's at. He did lose to Shutley and Verduzco, which they're killing everybody. So, so we didn't have a good gauge of exactly where he was, and that kind of puts him kind of in the flux. Like, is he, and he had a what I'd guess it would be a fluke loss. That doesn't help things either.
He's good. He just comes, it's just a tough spot for him coming out of that regional.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's kind of interesting to when you talk it through. Like, he's probably in the right spot. It's just a matter of some things.
Chips. I don't know. Like 24 might have been low. Maybe 12. I think 12 probably would have been a better spot for him.
Yeah.
Like I would have been comfortable at 12, 20, whatever. Probably not. But also, like, you're playing the odds too. And hey, man, if he used his motivation, good for him. Went out there and killed it.
Yeah, he had a great tournament. Looked really good. Where was he at? Oops, that's not card. He's 21st. So yeah, probably a little bit low, but I mean, there's a lot of guys up there that.
But again, there's a lot of people that say rankings don't mean anything except for when the rankings are not working in their favor, right?
Yes,
there's a lot of guys that are unranked that tell me rankings don't mean anything. But when the guy's 21 and he wins the semi-state, then everyone was telling me about the rankings.
So
that's the first message I get, right?
Yes, 120. Levi Johns punches a ticket back to state. He's a state medalist as a
That's
freshman.
A huge win.
Big win over Aiden Bollinger, 1-0. Rode him out in the third period. That was a pretty crazy. I mean, Bollinger was almost out like 4 or 5 times. Tough.
Thanks, Rex. Rex got my back, bro. That's why I'm one of the most tenured people on the Hager, Hershey, and Zell High School Wrestling Weekly.
Yes.
Presented weekly at the Double Eagle. Rival on the sandwiches.
And Timoteo Roca. I got revenge on Asa from last week, and I got third over Caleb Asa at 120. Hickson Love.
AJ Bradley told me he was going to be a monster. I didn't listen. He's ranked pretty low also, I believe. And AJ's the man. I should have listened to AJ. Anytime AJ tells you something, he's giving you the truth. He's giving you the gospel.
Yeah. He avenges one loss to Sean Harris in the semifinals. Pretty dominant. Then had a major in the finals. Harris over Cameron Baker. A lot of Carroll Regional love coming out of there. So Sam Mosier, Delta over Drew Walden. Walden took his first loss. Looking pretty solid. I think Walden's a good spot to get a medal. Hunter Douglas over Trip Hazley. Dylan Ogg, Adam Sedgwill, 3 state qualifiers over Henry Farrow. It's about the 34th time they've wrestled this year.
Man, Farrow and was that a good one? The ticket, he went 11-5 over Malachi Thuner. Malachi Thuner been wrestling really well too. The freshman from New Haven.
Yeah, that was a good match. Farrow just had a little bit more in the gas tank there. I thought that was one of the ticket round matches I kind of had circled. I was like, that's going to be a real good one. Cowan, what, three qualifiers? Ashton Gooney over Liam Bumgardner.
This one was a surprise.
Brody Hagwood.
This one got me. I did not have him. And I always say, like, I didn't have you in the rankings. I didn't have you on the watch list. Jacob Unger, I'm not going to lie, man. Didn't have you on the watch list. You're on the watch list now, sir. You're in the rankings now.
Yes. Yes, he is. Kevin Tom. That's another one. He lost. He was 6th at sectional last year.
I like Kevin Tom. I thought Kevin Tom wrestled really well at the Al Smith. But I didn't pick him to get out. I picked Ken Decoy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he was a 4. There were 2 4 over 1s at 132 that qualified.
It's Pretty impressive.
No, was it 38? It's 38.
Fort Wayne be Fort Wayne, right?
The
Wayne's always out here Wayning. Gotten guys coming from fours and just doing their thing.
Yeah, 44. That's what it was. Sorry. Unger was a 4. Won 13-10, and then in and punched his ticket. That was a crazy ticker-on match. There was a him and Tanner Ellis, who I had picked going. Had faith in Blaine Culp. See where that goes.
Is Casey?
They had a real crazy. I'm sure. Oh, Casey's watching, so I got to be nice. Is he giving
the eyes for the Cowan kid that qualified, or is he giving the eyes because we said AJ's giving out the good hot info?
Or because I said that there's a crazy call at the lots of eyes for, but Ellis had looked like he had a reversal, and I guess his toe came off the mat, and that means even though he was like his knees were in bounds, but if you come up, you have to have your point of contact on the mat, and it would have tied it up, and they end up reversing it, giving him an escape, and he ended up losing. So crazy match there. And then Kevin Tom over Kende Coy. Kende Coy was up 8-1, and Tom pinned him. So really good. Crazy, coming out of 6th at sectional, and then all the way to running it to the to state finals, and he's 3rd at semi-state. So pretty, and obviously Brody Hagwood avenges one of his losses.
Joe Stannis isn't lying, man. I was getting a lot of tamales on Saturday. He got a picture of me and Tony smashing some tamales. Mario Weta Cruz's dad went down. What's that store called, Kim? La Chiquita, right by East Chicago Central. Tamales are fire, man. They were really good. Every round, I feel like he had another batch. I don't know if he just snuck a whole bunch in or what, but yeah. Joe Stannis and Tony Reiser holding down the floor at East Chicago. They brought back the old Maryville days. These dudes were hammers, man. They were how like people cross. Kids are sitting there like lost their match, they're crying, take their stuff, go sit down there. You can't sit in this area. I said savages, bro. I said they gave the wrong guys power.
It was like the soup Nazi.
Bro,
no, you don't go.
You don't even know how like these guys were so drunk with power. They were running off coaches, running off administrators. I thought one of them was going to swell up Robert Falcons, run him out of there. It was wild, man. I know. I was looking for Spikes too. When someone said tamale, I thought Spikes was there. Didn't even see him. All right, sorry.
Spikes was hiding. He was hiding because he didn't want to. Because he was ashamed he didn't bring any tamales.
He's out there celebrating. Man, that's a good question. I'll answer that in 1 second. Let me finish this thought. He was out there celebrating the Bisons. I didn't even talk about the Logansport Regional and the lack of representation at the semi-state, the state finals. But Mendoza punched his ticket for the Bisons, and then
the Bisons,
and then also one other person, 2 from the Logansport Regional.
2.
I'm gonna text Ryan Parrish and Sean Smoltz and ask if we can open a Contenders right there in Lafayette. We need one.
You got to open one in Logansport. Where's the central location for that?
Right.
Benton Center. All
right. More dangerous, the tamales at East Chicago or the Long Islands at Kilroy's? Man, that's a good question. They're different. One's gonna make you really full, and the other one's gonna make you not know where you're at in the next day. One's gonna help you if you're on the mic at East Chicago semi-state. The other one's gonna help you if you lose 5 state qualifiers on Friday night, right, Joe?
Ouch. Possibly, yes. That was a for some odd reason those are bottomless there. When you lose 5 state qualifiers, they're bottomless at Kilroy.
You must have got the Hasbrook special too. Via Camasaka. So 144. I'm sorry, guys. What were we at? 150? 150.
But 44, you got to talk about my guy Brody Hagwood. My favorite Hagwood brother, the best Hagwood brother, because the other one didn't win in the finals.
Dang.
So major decision in the finals.
Did we skip over 150?
Major what? No, we haven't gone to 150. We're at 44.
That Hagwood didn't win in the finals.
Brody did.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was one ahead.
Yeah.
Twins,
so Brody over Hoppeth. Hoppeth's wrestling really well. So He had, Brody had a good day. Hoppus looking good. 150. Boy, that was a wild final. It was a real good match last week. I think last week in the third period, Easton kind of just had a little bit more, found that last gear and ended up getting a takedown in the third period. And this week, not sure exactly what. I mean, Carter, you knew it was going to be a great match. And
I'm gonna read this text real fast. I forgot all about this, but it's from someone that didn't do as good in the pick'ems as me. So it could be 200 of you guys.
Wow.
First time they ever had a Long Island iced tea from Kilroy's. I told them I'd buy them one if they could finish it in a minute. I don't think they did, but they tried. They gave it the old college try.
Nice. Oh boy.
That person was lost that night. He was gone.
He was gone.
Not to cut you short on this match. I really want to go into details on this. You guys didn't have a lot of close matches in the ticket round, huh?
No, not really. There were a few, but yeah, there was pretty wide open. I mean, pretty dominant. Nothing. And like we said earlier, the ticket round was just like, and I don't know, is it because of the scoring? Because you can get a little more separation. I mean, 106 closest match was a 6-2. There's only one. There's Cooper over McVicker was a close match, 9-7. I think there was some late scoring there, if I recall correctly. Levi Johns was 7-1 over Braylon McIntyre. That's pretty well. 126 was all bonus points. 2 tech falls and a fall and a major. Walden over Noah Dove, the DeKalb County Crime. 8-5. The Perot Foner match was 11-5. It was, I think, a little bit closer there. Unger over Ellis was close, like we said. I was going through these right kind of quick. Man, 165, 2 tech falls, a fall, and a major. Fall, tech fall. Whitaker over Jordan Simon match was 4-3. Parks over RJ Trevino was close. I think that might have been the last second takedown. Morrison over Ethan Leal was a good match. Overtime for Ringeisen and Brady Long. So yeah, one overtime match, and man, I love.
Gil, we're gonna go into a really detailed breakdown of the power poll, a secret power poll that we're putting together right now. Super secret. All right, we gotta give 150 the roses it deserves, because this was a really good match. This is one of the matches I got a message about in the middle of the tournament from a couple people. So last week it was really close.
Yeah. It was really close. It was 1-1 in the third period. Doster kind of just hit another gear and took him down, and kind of, I don't know. I mean, Carter hasn't been seeing someone like that all year, and he definitely made the adjustments this week. Went to overtime, and they traded takedowns in the regulation, and then went to overtime. First overtime they both got really close to scoring, and nothing happened. Carter took down, got out, and then Easton got out in the tiebreaker, and then man, he just got it. Lincoln got it. I mean, he had the choice in the third period, or in the ultimate one, so he really didn't have to push the pace. I mean, I would have probably, he would have been able to get out. I mean, he got out pretty easy previously, so I would have said, just don't push it. End up getting in on a double, lifts him up, and then puts him down and scores and hangs on to win. Crazy match, great match. Hopefully we can see it back under the lights. I'd love to see some Fort Wayne on Fort Wayne crime, Carroll Regional crime in the under the lights. That'd be good. So both are in good spots to run through, and obviously you're going to have an Easton Doster that's going to wrestle a little more bigger chip on his shoulder this week. So that's kind of scary for those people in that half of his bracket.
I agree.
So
and everything. Next 157, Jackson Bradley, going up 2 weight classes middle of the season. That might be a challenge for some. He went tech fall, 11-4 in the finals. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Bradley looked pretty good. Gavin Davis over Chance McClellan. Team class qualifying again. Carson Godinez.
Sounds like he had a pretty sweet spladle. Is that who is that?
Yes.
Riley Biddle.
Yes, he Biddle in the first round splayed his guy, and then he ended up getting splayed in the ticket round.
Is that what they're teaching out at the Fort? All kinds of spladles?
I mean, it's Raisin and his protege Andy Oberline, as they were calling him in the finals. So I didn't know he had an E on the end of his name.
You guys announced the coaches in the finals too?
Well, they announced like coached by Andy Oberline.
Really? We don't do that in Chicago. I wasn't doing the finals though. That wasn't me.
Did you do a Tejon?
Man, I thought about it, but I only got it when he was on the stand. I thought that'd have been disrespectful. You know, his parents. Okay. I know his dad told me I could, but I feel like when you're getting on the award stand, I'll hit different things on that. But man, I feel like on that one, you gotta let that one go for real, right?
Yeah. So Cave Stebbins over Jake Thrash. Stebbins looks real good. Dominic Dunn from DeKalb.
I heard you give the shout out on the best fastball in the Wrestling State Finals.
Yep, he said he could strike out Rocco. Rocco was always saying, "I think, can you hit this strike zone?" He's like, "Yeah." So we were talking for a little bit. I did talk to Jensen Boyd was there. He said he's doing good. He said he might be able to be back about this late spring, early summer, be able to wrestle and stuff like wrestle. So seemed like things were going good for him. That's good to hear. They're cheering on. It was when they were cheering on Wicker versus. Size distraction, Wicker versus Ocampo.
Yeah, Delta's kind of had her number, huh?
Yeah, they beat her 3 years in a row. So if you need a scouting report, I guess.
Dang, bro.
Yeah, they've had some studs there.
Yeah,
though.
they have.
And it sounds like they're going to get another stud possibly at that weight class.
Yeah, it sounds that way. He's pretty good also.
Yeah, so Stebbins, probably looking to go to college for baseball, which is cool. So I wonder I'll have to check their schedule, see if they come up to the Wayne anytime, and we'll put them up against Rocco. I think Rocco could hit one off him. I just want to see if he can get in that strike zone.
What if he buries one? What if he's a savage, comes high and tight on Rocco right off the bat?
He said he has like a 80-mile-an-hour fastball.
Tony threw upper 80s. He would come out high and tight when we do batting practice. He knocked me down.
Yeah. Why? Because you're getting mouthy with him or something?
He's a savage. I almost said something else. I almost used a different word to describe him, but I didn't.
Yeah. So
Parnell over Palacios.
Yeah. Parnell looked really good. Palacios, a good spot. As we said, he's pretty tough. Dylan Crawl, East Noble over Austin Parks.
Dylan Crawl I did not have on the watch list. Congratulations.
Yes. No love for the Raisins.
Dude, that's my boy, man. He didn't even tell me. A little heads up would have been nice.
Yeah. You say he's your boy. He says you're not.
Did he say that?
He's not giving you any.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
That is like
but he's not giving you information.
That's such a nice dude. I can't believe you would say that.
Oh, Sammy. Who doesn't love Sammy? Travis Hankey over Derek Morrison. Morrison wrestling real well. Marson over Hartley Hoover, avenged one of his losses. That's a pretty good 4. Austin Ringheisen's pretty tough.
All day. You can't tell by this 42-year-old body. He buzzed the tower. I'm going to lean into one, then I'm going to snag second. Unless Greg Gersich back there. He threw pretty good for Andrea, and he got drafted by the Twins. If he's back there, I'm probably going to just wait for the next pitch, but I'll wait for someone to get a hit.
Yeah. Heavyweight Caleb Evans beat Kuhlman again. Good matches. Kuhlman's tough. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. There's still another year of Coleman. Charles McGrant from New Haven over Jacob Reynolds. That was the Carroll sweep. Not quite. Doesn't sound as good as the Mooresville sweep, but we got the Carroll sweep. If you want to watch some an interesting way to pin a guy, check out Reynolds' take around match. That's a Poppy special. So Poppy finally got a state qualifier at heavyweight. So I'm sure he's as giddy as a schoolgirl now.
You think we should do the other 2 semi-states tomorrow and then just go into the first half of the brackets? Or should we?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea.
That's on the fly, folks.
Yep. Let me
pull up these handy
bring
dandy.
Up our state brackets. the state finals. I have not released these ones yet, and I hope these are right.
All right.
I did not double check.
We're doing 106 through 150
So-
today, or 106 through 144? Okay.
44. 44 is the halfway. These look pretty good. Might have to do a little Trayvon Ducking versus first off 106. We said it, and then I think we probably shouldn't have said it, and it happened.
Yep.
Evansville versus Newcastle, so fireworks are right off the bat. That's the first thing I looked at. I was like, oh, good, we got 106. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, Ducking over Morrow, or Ducking versus Morrow, not over him. First round, 3 and 4.
Couple contenders going at it Friday night. Who's
Morrow?
Who's Sean giving the scouting report to?
Yeah, yes. Ocampo versus Cruz Areta. That should be a real good match.
Yeah, I talked to Mario. He was giving me the tamales. We talked on Saturday or Sunday after the show. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "You ever had a wrestle with 20,000 people cheering against you? It's gonna be tough, man." She's good. She's obviously number one. But Cruz is tough, man. Cruz is really good. He wrestled real well on Saturday. Just lost to Westfall, so he has 2 to Westfall. I don't know, who did he lose to? Did he lose to Maddox at Al Smith?
He lost to one of them. Let's see.
Maybe he lost to Westfall twice, 3 times this year.
Westfall, St. Laurent, Westfall, and Westfall again.
So pretty tough. Obviously, Juliana coming in with 1 loss. That quarterback is going to be good. I would be willing to bet. We kind of talked about it off air, and we'll talk about it more at the end. Similar to what Brownsburg had last year, I think there's a way. It's not like a huge opening for Crown Point to get in the side of the team race with 13 wrestlers there, but I would be willing to bet everyone wearing a red T-shirt on Saturday morning, if Ocampo wins and Ducking wins, there's going to be a whole section of Crown Point folks cheering for her to take him out too.
They're going to be cheering for a different set of bulldog.
Bulldog and bulldog, right? That's a pretty good quarter bracket. You got 4, 3, 1, and 11. So, kind of tough.
So, bracket gods did not give us the matchup. It is good for Fort Wayne and East Chicago that we're not going to get blanked by Evansville.
And I don't know if Evansville is going to blank Newcastle. I actually thought that was the only one that they wouldn't blank.
Yeah,
I'm sure Sarah could tell us who wins in the room between Ducking and Morrow. If not, she'll tell us in a group text 45 times.
So next quarter bracket: Connor Maddox, Westfield versus Gavin Ash, a 5 and 6. Chase Michaels, Portage versus Joseph or Joey. They actually put Joey on the bracket on the IHSA thing. Threw me for a loop there. Joey Warner. That's what we've always called him in the greater Huntertown area. So, and I know he likes to go by the government name on the brackets, but everyone else calls him Joey. So I was kind of surprised by that one. I'm like, whoa, it's Joey.
Pretty good quarter bracket there too. Maddox only lost this year is the Ducking. He looked really good at Al Smith. 5 in the state. He'll have Gavin Ash, who was a state qualifier at 13 last year. Pretty tough one right off the bat, a senior. Chase Michaels wasn't like he was a backup most of the year behind. I can't think of his name right now, but he's out of the lineup. And Chase Michaels went out and won a real tight ticket round match on a stall call to tie it to go into overtime. He hit a headlock in overtime to win against Tyler Corals, and then Joseph Warner in a good spot there. Got 3 losses on the year. Ocampo, Crawl, and Reed Wicker. So he's in a pretty good spot.
Yep. Was it Manning?
Yeah,
who was there?
Lucas Manning. Yeah. Freshman, sophomore, runner-up, Lucas Manning.
Yep. So bottom half, you got Sam Westfall, Crown Point versus Ramon Sierra of the Mighty Railroaders. Heather Crawl, number 8. Northeastern versus Case of Bridge. That should be a good one. Crawl making her 3rd trip to state.
Yeah.
4 tries.
Yeah.
So got a couple of juniors and a senior and a freshman.
Yeah, it's a lot of older people. Case Bridge is really good. Obviously, he's had a really good couple weeks. His only losses being to Bridge. Tough draw for Craw with tough draw for Craw. I guess that's funny. It rhymes. But with the Newcastle draw in Evansville, it's just not a good spot for them. I mean, honestly, if I had to draw it out, I probably would have put Evansville against East Chicago. I thought of the semi-states. East Chicago probably would have matched up like where, Crawl and those guys would be at, but tough one there. But again, like how many times has Case Bridge had 20,000 people cheering against them? Anytime you go, I mean, obviously you coached against Miracle when she was down there, Hayden Lee. Was it fun?
No, that Hayden and I that was like number one. That was the first one. So now it's not as crazy. It was
pretty loud last year in Evansville. Evansville didn't get super loud a lot.
Yeah. So you have everyone cheering against your kid, and Hayden, pretty mentally tough kid. I'll say that. Always pretty focused, and we had to kind of shield him away from things. He's to this day, he's like, I still don't remember that match. I basically blacked out. He's like, afterward, about 20 minutes later, he's like, I won, right? I'm like, yeah. And it's so funny. Like, he had a bunch of reporters around Kayla asking her questions and stuff. And then one person came over and talked to Hayden afterward. So it was like who won that match? But it was intense, and it was the first match right off the scale, right off the bat. So everyone's in there, crowd's buzzing, they're excited. The parade just got done, and now you have to wrestle, and where everyone's cheering against you, and it's a crazy environment for that. You don't get that very often, and it's tough. And we saw it last year. Chantia was dominating Ocampo, and Ocampo just kept her cool. And I think he just kind of ran out of gas, and she ended up coming back and winning.
And I think it's different. Like obviously the freshmen now are wrestling in Tulsa, and they're wrestling in Super 32 in these huge tournaments. Ocampo and Crawl have wrestled huge national tournaments too. So I don't necessarily think the moment's going to get to them like that. But it's still one of those things, man. It's the intrigue. Like people want to see them have success. And I mean, I want to see them have success. I think it's a cool story. So I definitely think that's going to be an interesting Friday night matchup. Obviously it's 9 and 8. Crawl was undefeated returning state qualifier. So Bridges wrestling real well. Top part of that, Ramon Sierra looked really good at Al Smith. Got a place there, 34 and 32, 34 and 12. So not ranked, but 6th in the semi-state. And then Sam Westfall's wrestling real well, 22 and 9. They wrestle, if not the toughest schedule in the state, one of the toughest schedules in the state. Them or Brownsburg. I mean, it's tough because Brownsburg doesn't wrestle in a conference, so you don't get those conference duels where, I mean, it sucks for them because no one wrestles them in conference matchups, but they should. But, I mean, you're wrestling at DAC. I kind of posted the numbers for that. So those 9 losses can look deceiving.
Mm-hmm. So bottom quarter, Reed Wicker looked really good. He lost to Kellen Chef and Case Bridge from Indiana. That's 2 of his 4 losses this year. Looked really good, just dominant. I've seen a lot of his results, from when he was younger, and like he's pretty good. And he had a real good tournament. He has Julian DeLuna from Hanover Central, Daniel Brown, Center Grove versus Tate St. Laurent, and that's a rematch of. That is a rematch from Al Smith semifinals, I believe. Or was it it was semifinals where Brown won 4-2. Really good match. That's going to be. I mean, there's about 3 or 4 matches. I hope they just run one match at a time at 106 because there's a lot of good.
Brown beat St. Laurent at IHPO also. We talked about it, man. Moorville's pretty stacked at a lot of weights. I mean, they talk about the depth at Evansville. Like, it's kind of the depth at Mooresville. Feeds into that depth at Evansville, right? DeLuna had a really good win over Nick Freeze in the ticket round. He had a 5-4 loss to Ocampo this year. Reed Wicker, we seen him at Carnahan. He pinned Sam Westfall pretty quick after Sammy had just beat Cruz. and like kind of jumped up in the rankings, and like Reed went out there and stuck him in the first period. And I was kind of like, wow, obviously we knew he was good, but yeah, he showed Saturday how good he is, and I'm sure he's going to try to show this Saturday how good he is. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw all 4 of the Mooresville guys in the semifinals also. I would probably pick Maddox on that top bracket with Ash, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked.
113. Case Bell, Brownsburg, wrestling really well. He was dominant at Evansville. Just ran through the field. He's got a Charlie Fleshman from Central Noble. Fleshman make his second trip to state. As I said last year, I reffed one of his matches when he was in middle school. I think he was 8th grade. He wasn't very good. And his dad even came out to me last year. He's like, "You're right." Okay. I was like, "Okay, good. I hope you guys aren't offended." He was not very good. If you would have told me that kid's going to be a 2-time state qualifier, I probably would be homeless right now. So, congrats to him. He's gonna get a state medal next year, I'm sure. Case Bell's pretty good. Xavier Cunha, Portage freshman versus Keegan Dressler, who had, I guess, is a 9 over what was Reyes. Reyes was like a 5.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's a good match.
Yeah. So not a crazy upset, but that was one of the bigger, I guess, upsets that of the weekend. So I guess I knew Dressler was ranked. I guess I didn't realize he was 9th. He was top 10. So that wasn't a crazy upset, but
yeah. And he came down. I think some of his losses were up by 26, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's wrestled up a little bit.
Senior there. Acuna, pretty good. I was happy to see him go to 13. When he was a kid, he was the truth. Like he was the one I kind of said like was doing all of these showcases, one-offs. He was real good. He took a couple years off, but I mean we talked about like tragedies in the family. He had a tragic thing happen in their family, and sometimes wrestling becomes the back burner, and it's tough. So I'm really happy that he's doing well, and I'm happy that he qualified. That'll be a tough one Friday night, but his brother is the head coach there. He'll be coaching his brother. So Fleshman and Bell, Bell's really good. 3 losses, 2 in one day at Marist and 1 at Ironman. Hasn't lost in Indiana. We kind of knew that he was going to be in the mix probably even up to 2 years ago. So I think he beat Jensen Boyd. Was it last year after Boyd had a really good year at ISWA? So
he's legit.
He's the real deal.
He's
obviously.
Yeah, he actually.
Obviously, he's ranked number 1 over returning state champ. Whether it's right or wrong, that one I could say is probably more of an opinion. So
yeah, and he got on the right side of the bracket. Obviously, there's 3 guys that are really, really good.
Like the ISWA, IHSA seeded how we had it, right?
Yes. Yep. Robert, listen to me. Hey, if we'd have seeded it, that's how it landed. Bakari Cooper, we talked about him a little bit ago. He has Eli Ogle from Tri-West. That should be a real good match. 21-8. So obviously, like you said, you're probably would, if you re-ranked it, you'd probably be putting him about 12.
Oh, yeah, he'd be higher. What do we have? What do we have? What did I have? I mean, he'd be over Rex Moore now, which was 6.
Yeah.
And K Jackson 12. So I think we're in that 12, the 10 to 12 range. Eli Ogle coming out of a tough Mooresville regional, tough Evansville semi-state, freshman, sophomore state champ. I think, I don't know. To me, that's a pretty good accomplishment. That'll be a good one Friday night.
Yep. Then you got Lincoln Parsons, number 7 versus number 13, Collins Stewart. That should be a real good match. Both kids come in with pretty solid schedules. Greenfield Central also is a good schedule. And that should be a good Friday night match. You got the senior versus freshman.
Yeah.
And Parsons wants to leave with
I think the same way I would say the same way I'd probably say that I would have Bakari Cooper higher, I'd probably have Colin Strayer higher also. I mean, 10 losses. 4 of those are out-of-state losses, 2 at the Ironman, 2 at the Carnahan. And then I know he had a couple at Al Smith. He's lost to Verduzco 3 times. semi-state, regional, and sectional. So,
yeah, he's also Reyes, Thrasher, Swathwood, and Reyes again. So all those losses are ranked higher than him. So that should be a good Friday night match. Peyton Shutley, Ron Colley, coached by Sean
Richardson.
Richardson. Like when you say something and it's like,
you got to say it live on the show.
That was not.
I was thinking. Someone asked me like, "You don't do that show?" I was like, "That's Joe's thing, man." And I was thinking like, how would they keep me on track?
Yes, that's one thing. That is a very good one. But then actually, I mean, if we did that one, and then we'd come back and do this one that's a little more relaxed and stuff, it'd kind of be just saying the same things over and over. Yeah. So I guess it is good that we and Mike does a great job. Mike, the tidbit he added about the Bauman versus Major match, and I was like, oh man, I didn't even think about that, and that's something that he had, vested interest in, obviously, with those guys, and it's like, oh, that's a pretty good tidbit, and so I think we're gonna kind of maybe try to tweak how we do things a little bit next year. I thought everything went well. It's you don't get a lot of preparation, and thankfully we had done 9 hours of talking about wrestling last week, so I had a good base
right off the rails.
So
ask me about Long John Silver's.
Yeah. That's why my phone was not in there, and that's why I tried not to have my computer up there. But I had to bring my computer in for some last minute, just double checking some things I wanted to say. I didn't want to mess up any more names. Actually, I did that like at 90. But anyway, Shutley versus Nash Burke, Munster. The Mustangs are back.
They were there last year. Christopher Bone.
Oh yes. Oh man, where's our hot dog reviews? I mean, I missed those.
Joe Stannis was trying to give me a hot dog review at East Chicago.
Good or bad?
I think they said they were good. Yeah. They said 10 times on the. They made me say it, and then they said it. One guy grabbed the mic and said it 10 times. There's 2 concession stands at East Chicago. If you guys want to know, there's 2.
Nice. Hey, so Jude Heaston versus Kay Jackson, a 15-12. That should be a good match. Obviously, Shutley looking really good, and that's going to be a heck of a. I mean, this is going to be a great bracket. I'm excited for the semifinals and finals.
Yeah. Again, like talk about re-ranking. Jude Heaston would probably be higher than he is now. He's really talented. He had a really good freshman, sophomore. I think he was out last year as a junior, but he was high in the rankings at one point. And Tony said they were Polishes, man. So they that'll be a good one. That's a real interesting matchup. That was one that I waffled on when I was trying to do my pick'ems. Wrote my pick'ems out, put them away. I'm going to look at them again on Wednesday, see if I feel the same way.
Yeah. I did create a cool little spreadsheet that you copy it to your Google Drive for your pick'ems, and you can fill out the brackets. You can put a 1. You fill out the yellow spots. I'll give you guys a little hint. You fill out the yellow spots for who you think is going to win. You could do, if you do a 1, it's just like a decision, but you could do it like an 8 or 15.
Do you think you'll ever change that picture of you on the pick'ems?
No, I love that.
I'm just wondering.
It doesn't look young. That
doesn't even look like you anymore. Look at this. The dude that tried to ask me where the directions were at Brownsburg. What's up, bro? I ain't talked to you in a minute. Next quarter bracket. What, Joe deletes that comment? Starting the bottom there, you have number 11, number 5, Justice Thrasher, Center Grove, junior, 36-6, the Evansville runner-up. He'll have Rex Moore of Manchester, number 6 in the state, number 2 in the semi-state, 46-2, number 3 out of Fort Wayne. Manchester showed a lot of love at the state finals 2 years ago when it was at Banker Gamebridge or Banker's Life or Conseco. You pick your poison, the field house. So like those guys. Top part of that quarter bracket, Cole Freeze of Franklin County, not community, senior, 28-4. He'll have Noel Verduzco of Lowell, 38-0, freshman, number 3 in the state, number 1 in the semi-state. He's really good, man. He's fun to watch too. He's a lot of action. He doesn't stop going forward. heavy hands, like attacks, going into more attacks. I want to see him and Shutley at Team State. Obviously, that didn't happen, but that could be a good semifinal if they both make it there, which if the rankings hold up, which they never do, but sometimes they do, could be a good semifinal match to see who gets on the other side of Bell. Noel's going to light it up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's tough. He's fun to watch. Definitely in a couple of years when we re-rank our top 5.
Dude, and he's a nice kid.
Favorite wrestler to watch. He might be on that list.
And he's a super nice kid, man. I really like him.
Yeah.
Every interaction I had with him this year has been positive. He's a good kid. He scores points. He's fun to watch. He's got it all, man.
Yep. And so that way maybe I don't get too many comments about picking kids I sat in the corner with. So 120, Revan Dickman. He's decent at wrestling from what we've heard.
He's good in the state, decent nationally, I heard.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to get that right. Good in the state, decent nationally. That's according to an inside source.
The closest inside source.
Don't disagree with him. That person, they.
Nah, he's good in both. He's good nationally. He's good. Going to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he has Joseph Mendoza from the Bisons.
Representing Lafayette, Indiana.
Yes. Carrying that Logansport regional, half of it on his back.
I skipped over that on my East Chicago breakdown. Joseph Mendoza and Aiden Diaz in the ticket round was a really good match. Back and forth. So I'm sure Coach Diaz has some complaints. I told him to file with the IHSA. I don't know if he did.
So then John Bismeyer versus Aiden Bollinger. That's going to be a good match.
Has Bollinger wrestled Dickman every year at the state finals? Or did he not wrestle him last year? Probably not where he wanted to be. I know he hit him. Well, he wasn't there as a freshman, right? Bollinger wasn't?
No.
So a couple years, that's probably not the spot he wants to be in. He's going to have a real tough John Bismeyer Friday night. Can't be looking ahead to the semi or the quarters. And we all know about Sean McGinley's Friday night record. Joseph Mendoza, that's a tall order, man. 19th in the state, 4th in the semi-state. You got one in the state, one in the semi-state. Probably his national rank. I don't know his national ranking. That's true too.
Yeah.
Your boy got thirsty, man.
Sure.
He's probably higher than 19 in the country, I would assume.
Yeah.
So
we can check it out while we go. Gavin Lewis, Crown Point, wrestling really well. And it's something, as you said, Crown Point versus Brownsburg. You also have Center Grove kind of in the mix. The last 2 years, they've kind of just lurked around and let everyone talk about Crown Point and Brownsburg, and they've I don't want to say snuck away, but kind of stolen probably stolen that second place trophy.
They probably want to try to steal that first place trophy, right?
Yeah, they're going to be aiming for that. And they have 9 guys there. They have 9 chances. So that's still a lot. And one of the things we were talking about last night on the way home is, where does Crown Point and Brownsburg hit? This could be a semifinal match. But, man, Lewis and Meyer, ooh, boy, that's good. I saw that one. I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a good one. Man, that's going to be fun. I do not believe they didn't meet.
Meyer lost to Malone.
Yeah, 5-0. So, man, Myers, that's hard to say that. I mean, the guy's a 4th place finisher last 2 years ago.
I think he was a 4th place finisher at the semi-state whenever he took 4th, right? Ocampo was the semi-state champ that year, or was she runner up? Nah, she would have been runner up to Bollinger.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she wasn't. Yeah, he's tough. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how that goes with him and that match.
Mean kids, man. Gavin Lewis can be kind of mean. Cam Myers definitely mean.
Yeah, they're not gonna. That could be a real good scrap. Timmy Rocha, New Haven versus Caden Underwood, unranked from Lawrence North. Coach Avon busting up your rankings. Man. We'll send him a.
And I had to go move him to. We highlighted at 20. He was at 26. He was highlighted. I don't know. I didn't move him to 120. I don't know if I'm putting him in the rankings. 10 losses kind of on the back end of that ranking spot. But congratulations to Caden Underwood, man. Break up the bracket. Run that thing to the finals, bro.
Yep.
I don't think we've ever had a not ranked guy win the state championship.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty low one. They remind everyone out of Monrovia.
It wasn't that low. I don't think. I think it was like 12.
Yeah, that's pretty low for a state champion.
That's a bigger complaint.
Yeah, Levi Johns, number 11, Bluffton, looking for a bookend state medals. He has Ezra Phi of Alexandria Monroe. As I said yesterday, 7-6 match earlier in the season.
They split this year, right? I think Phi beat him early, and then he came back and beat Phi. I think they beat each other this year.
Yeah.
I was yelling at the TV when you said that. Joe, they split.
Oh, yeah. Well, he won the last
John
one.
won the last one. So the rubber match for a medal. We kind of talked about Phi last week in the Newcastle breakdown. Been around for a long time. I feel like he's been there for 10 years, not 4 years. That'll be a good one.
Man, how's Phi's wrestled? He's wrestled Johns twice, and then he wrestled Roca twice. But Roca was at Northmont, so you have that every so often. But it's like, man, that's all these Fort Wayne guys. But yeah, that should be a good match. Obviously, they split this year. I guess I did not see. I saw the Johns over him. I didn't see that other one. Johns must have had had something else in the. Yeah, he had 2 Tyus Loshi matches in between them, so I didn't see that. Man, so that should be a good one. Rubber match right there for a medal. Doesn't get better than that. Royce Malone, Center Grove versus Lincoln Underwood. Another good match there.
They didn't hit. Underwood lost to Lewis in the semis at Al Smith.
So really good quarter bracket there.
Underwood was a freshman, sophomore state champ or middle school state champ at 26, coming down a weight. How about Strayer was the 120 middle school state champ going down a weight. That'll be a good one. Underwood's wrestling real well. I mean, Royce is really tough. TJ McMurray, man, he made an appearance this weekend. Said Lincoln over Royce.
What? Man, I got a bottom quarter bracket. Blake Getz undefeated from one loss, from Ron
His
Colley.
Loss is Cam Meyer, right?
Is it? You would know more than I would probably. Yep, Cam Meyer 8-1. Caleb Asa, Garrett freshman, qualified at 120. Pretty good season for him. Chance Smith, unranked sophomore from the Mishawaka Cavemen, and then Mason Gels from Avon, number 7. So potentially a Saturday morning from 6 and 7. That could be a good one.
Gels is wrestling really well. Did Getz beat Gels this year also? Gels has been on fire the last couple of weeks, other than wrestling against Dickman. I think he's beat everybody except for Dickman since the start of the sectional, maybe even before that, maybe at their conference. No, because Dickman didn't wrestle conference. He lost to Case Bell. I think he has 2 losses to Bell this year in the duel also, I believe. So pretty tough junior there. I thought he was really good at Carnahan. Him and Gavin Lewis was a really good match. So,
yeah, he was 3-2 gets over Gels. So, another good potential match there. 126.
I thought this one got separated pretty well too. I don't know if I would have seeded it the same way, but I mean it's pretty straight up. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd have seeded. I mean, Rio would have been or Gavin or Rio would have been opposite sides. You probably would. I guess Volz would have been the 3 seed, so he would have been on the same side. But hey, we got not a bad one.
As long as you have the two, the perception of the people on the opposite side, I think that's a good way to do it.
Yep. Nate Rio from Avon, only 1 loss on the year. He has Cameron Baker of the Garrett Roll Big Train Railroaders.
You guys say that, Roll Big Train?
Okay. Yeah, RBT. Roll Big Train.
What's a small train?
I don't know. We don't have small trains.
What's your guys' mascot, Thomas?
Big one.
What's the angry one? You guys got the angry one?
not a show I watch, so I have no
You
clue.
ever seen Bullet Train? It's pretty good,
no.
man. Someday you'll watch it and you'll remember this talk.
Yes. They do when they get a pin in there. If you're wrestling at the Paul Bateman Gymnasium, when you get a pin, they have a big train horn that goes woo, and it's like loud, and it sucks when you're not them and they get a pin. So, oh, yay, daddy!
Weird how you went when we played at Railcats. When you get a hit, they play like this Red Hawk screech. There's a couple games we didn't get many Red Hawk screeches.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're getting beat up and you get a hit, and they play that screech and you're down by 10, you're like, we probably don't need to do that right now. I didn't say nothing about New Prairie, man. Don't forget your roots, Nick.
I do remember one time where we limited the train whistles. That was nice. The other time we didn't, and it wasn't fun. I was about took out whoever was running the scoreboard. So.
All right, top of the bracket, we got number 2 in the state, number 1. There's Cameron Baker of the Trains.
The mighty trains.
On the bottom part of that, you got a couple real tough wrestlers here. Chase Yant, senior, 36-3. He's coming in there with a medal, 6 in the state, number 1 in the semi-state for them. Against Angelo Vargo, number 8 in the state, number 3 in the semi-state. Had a real tight one with Maldonado in the semis. Sophomore, 22-4. That'll be a good one. That'd be a fun one Friday night.
I think both those guys get after it pretty well, so that could be some fireworks. Could be a 17-15 match.
And then Nate Rio, and we'll go down to one of the other guys. Nate Rio scores a lot of points. He's probably one of my favorite guys to watch. Just same thing I said about Verduzco. He's into like 4 or 5 different attacks. Like he's constantly moving. I mean, I don't know. That's how I like to watch wrestling, is when people are putting up points, and he does it at a pretty high level. I'm trying. If I come to that duel at Garrett, I want them to let me push the train button when you guys get a pin. I want to pull the horn. Vargo and Yant's going to be really good. I'm disappointed that my boy Chris isn't in here tonight. No, not Chris. Sorry. Yeah,
Chris Vargo.
So I was thinking Chris Garcia for a second. He's usually a pretty big advocate. That'll be an interesting stylistic matchup too. That'd be one to watch on Friday.
And so next quarterback, Hickson Love from Marion, sophomore, 43-1. As we said, he avenges only loss. He has a tough Isaac Ash, number 10. Eli Brody of Mount Vernon versus Matthew Maldonado from Maryville. That's a good one, because we got into some. I remember the South Smith seed meeting where a coach who shall not be named was claiming that state advancement just meant it ended at Friday night, even though Maldonado has a state medal. Maldonado did lose to Brody the last year at Al Smith. So they were saying, the coach was saying, well, state advancement doesn't mean a medal, just means you advance to state. So that didn't work out very well, but I think it's Brody beat him last time. So that's going to be some fireworks in that match. Real good quarter bracket. Hickson Love, he's breaking hearts right now.
Shawn, you then play Shawn Michaels music when he comes out. I mean, AJ told us, man, that he was really good, number 21 in the state. If he wins it, he's higher than what Eli Stock was. Isaac Ash is a tough one to draw Friday night. Returning semifinalist, number 10 in the state. Brody and Maldonado should be really good. I think that Maldonado is wrestling real tough. I thought he obviously had a huge win over Auburn at the regional. They put Auburn in the bracket with Gendris. His 4 losses, 3 of them are to Gendris. Not Gendreas. That's what they said in the finals. I try to stop them. Yeah. You know, they say when you're in East Chicago, you got to roll them R's, boy. So that'll be a good one. I think that quarter bracket's wide open.
Yeah, that should be a good quarter bracket. Going down, Braden Volz of Eastern Hancock, returning state medalist. He's gonna cement himself in 2 years of probably being the best wrestler in Royals history. He has a tough Cameron Woods first
They
round
wrestled this year.
during state qual.
Yeah, I
They
think
did?
Vols won maybe 10-5. I think he ended up getting a takedown late. It was 7-5, and then got that 3-pointer. But that could be a pretty good Friday night matchup. Cameron Woods got a better draw than Seth Aubin did, being a 2 and a 3. He ran it through there. And Seth Aubin obviously had the guy we're going to talk about next. But Vols real tough.
Yeah. Yep. Ty Henderson, Evansville Mater Dei versus Jordan Correct of North Miami. So that should be a good one. Henderson wrestling really well right now, and that should be another good quarter bracket here. 126 is loaded. A lot of good wrestlers, and a lot of wrestlers are fun.
Ty Henderson, and we'll talk about it tomorrow on our Evansville breakdown. Really good match, opening round with Landon Haynes. Yeah. So ended up winning 5-4. It was kind of one we had circled as a curtain jerker. I guess is that what it was, curtain jerker?
Yeah, curtain jerkers are the first round matches.
And then, I mean, I'm sure any two in the state was trying not to get Ty Henderson. The brackets guys weren't great over there because you had Rio and Henderson in the semis and not the finals, and then you're getting a 2. So it's kind of tough for Cork, who's having a great senior year. Tony's right, dude. Best security in the state, man. Get that guy to work the floor.
What are you doing in September, Tony? We need some security at IPO. keep those parents out of the keep people out of the middle.
He's ruthless, man. He doesn't care. Someone told him their girlfriend was in there. He said a lot of people's girlfriends are in there.
Hey, he's hired. He's hired for IPO.
Bottom part of that quarter bracket. Number 19 in the state, Sean Harris of New Haven, 44-3 sophomore. He'll have Dominic Brown of Center Grove, number 7 in the state, 30-6 junior. And then on the top part of that quarter bracket, returning state medalist, number 18 in the state, Richard Rogers, Franklin Central. He's a junior versus number 1 in the state, number 1 in the semi-state, 33-2. His only 2 losses at the Ironman, Gavin Gendras. Not Gendras. Crown Point. You said Gavin's video for talking about shoes has been like blowing up on short, right?
Yeah. It keeps getting comments. So is my video, the one I clipped of my wrestling shoes, and people were still commenting, "Oh, those are the Adidas Tyrants." I'm like, dude, look at the comments. It's already there. And so, and I'm sure, I mean, everyone saw the video of the Lakeland coaches.
Dude, I'm telling you, if you get me an IndianaMat tracksuit, I'll rock it. Kid's got a pretty good shirt for the state finals. She's making her return. It's pretty good.
So that was made by my daughter. I did not give her the proper credits. But yeah, so that's kind of getting some views on the social media. So
anyway, I mean, Rogers returning medalist. I mean, you don't want to be fourth at any semi-state, and then you didn't want to draw Rio or Gendras, and I think those are the 2 guys. He ended up driving Gendras. Don Brown, Gendras was the finals at the Al Smith. That'll be an interesting stylistic matchup. So Gendras trying to get it done senior year. Probably one of the more accomplished guys that doesn't have a title. I mean, what is he? Runner-up, 3rd, 5th. 4-time semi-state champ, 4-time Al Smith champ, going to IU, Fargo All-American. It's not going to be easy. I mean, you got a guy that's also Fargo All-American, 2-time runner-up. Probably would be a couple-time champ if he would have got with his friends earlier and they just said, "Hey, man, why don't you go this way and I'll go this way?"
Yeah, they forgot that the communication between teenagers is not very good.
A lot of past state experience in that bracket. So,
yep.
I think I didn't pick him over. I gave Nate some flowers there. Come on now. I said he's not a senior. If he doesn't win it this year, I'll definitely say the same thing next year. But he'll be in the mix, man. He's really tough.
Yep, and it'll be however plan and. Both teams will have plans. Will be pretty good. 132. Starting with our guy Lane.
I have it on a pretty good authority that Lane's been wrestling so well because he's been eating these steaks by Lynn's. I heard his dad goes up there and spends a bunch. His dad was out there buying bulls. He tried to get me to invest in a bull. He said it's
to ride or
to
like,
have. I don't even have property for a bull. I told him I live in a subdivision. He told me he'd help me pick out a good bull. He said he was going to like Oklahoma to get one. I said, what do you do? Eat it? He's like, no, you use it to like make cows. So he gave me investment advice. Keith Davidson's giving me financial advice on the stock market, and Travis Horn's giving me advice on how to get livestock.
Do you live in an HOA?
No, but they are pretty stingy. If you get like over an inch of snow, they'll give you a ticket.
Yeah, I haven't done I haven't been home, so yeah, I'll probably
like if I park on the street.
Oh, if you park on the street?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Dude, I was laying on the couch Saturday. I fell asleep because everyone was blowing my phone up, and then I hear banging at the door. It was the police. They said, hey, if you come move your car in the next 5 minutes, we won't give you a ticket. It was like 2 a.m.
Jeez. Man. The little police department.
No, he don't live here no more. He ain't here. So I'm sorry. Lane Horn, 46-0, East Chicago. Dude, I'm telling you, these guys, we're gonna get a bull. We're gonna throw it into. We're gonna name it IndianaMat. We're gonna find something.
Yeah, Benny the bull. Yeah, but then you can go visit your bull at Spike's place and get tamales.
It's the best of both worlds. And then he has Trip Hazley of Madison Grant, number 16 in the state, of 40-4 junior. Lane looked really good Saturday. I'll only get to the bottom part, and we talk about the whole thing. They'll have the winner of Colin Schroyer from Franklin County, not ranked, senior, 27-6. He's been on the watch list for a couple of years. And Eddie Goss of Center Grove, multiple-time medalist. Love Eddie Goss's spirit. He was in the finals out of Smith last year with Hayden DeMarco. They went nose to nose. He's pretty exciting. That's an interesting matchup there, but Lane looked really good on Saturday. It beat Hawkins, avenged his loss from last year. There was in the third period, Hawkins went down. He's probably one of the better bottom guys in the state. They rode him for the full 2 minutes. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a pretty good win. Got a little bit of revenge from last year. Put himself in a good spot. Obviously, the quarterfinal match. Any of the quarterfinal matches here, nothing's going to be easy. And he's on the opposite side of two guys with blue rings, so you can't ask for much more from there.
Talking with Travis a little bit, we relived our semi-state match from Maryville, 25 years ago. We didn't even talk about it. Unspoken agreement. But I mean, the most important match for Lane is this Friday night match, right? Like 2 years in a row. It took him a while to get started. 2 years ago, Lane was number one. He lost Friday night last year. I thought he had a pretty good spot. Lost Friday night. So he's got to get that monkey off his back, and hopefully, we'll see how it goes.
Have you ever been on a farm, Mike, other than a field trip? Okay.
Don't let these blue eyes fool you, boy. These hands have been on the farm.
Do they have any? Are there any farmers in Calumet
You ever hear
Township?
The small farms? Dude, I'll take you to small farms. Dude, Lamont Bradley's in here. I seen him talking in the chat. Lamont Bradley used to live in the small farms.
I'm kind of scared what that is.
It's a little bit of a community between Clark Road and Chase Street. It's pretty wild. They got a lot of farms in Plainfield. Stop it.
So we are nuts. This might be a really long episode. Anyway, next quarter bracket, Sam Mosier Delta. Man, way too many Mosiers going through there. Only a sophomore. He has Warren Brown, Maryville. That should be a good match. And then another top 5 matchup, Down Bowie. Number 3 in the state versus number 5, Caleb Schaefer. That's going to be some fireworks right there. It should be a great match.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, anytime you have Schaefer being a 3, kind of the same thing we said about Rio and Henderson, not the best way the brackets check out, but Bowie's wrestling really well. Had a really good Al Smith. I think that would be a tough one. Schaefer obviously was there last year. That's an interesting matchup. Warren Brown having a pretty good season. I ended up taking fourth, lost to Landon Westerfeld in the third and fourth place match. He had a win over Hawkins this year. So Mosier's 4 losses. What is it? Hawkins and Horn, and I don't know who the other 2 would be. But Mosier's other 2 losses.
Bowie has
Well,
lost.
Bowie lost to Thrine and he lost to Chanciat. Who's Sam Mosier's losses to?
Sam Mosier's losses are to Carrera, who's out of state, Hawkins, Horn, Thrine.
Hawkins, Horn, and Thrine.
1-0 to Horn and 5-4 to Thrine. So and 4-0.
Tony said in the small farms they don't got nothing but stray cats and dogs. That's true, but they milk those too.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, we're going. Well, next time you come out here, man, we're going to the small farms. You're gonna get a little slice of heaven. All right. Bowie's 2 losses we talked about. Schaefer's 4 losses. I know 2 of them are Hockaday, right?
Yeah.
Who are the other 2? One's probably Rainey, right?
Schaefer's losses are to Rainey, some Rainey kid. One of them, Jake Hockaday and Jake Hockaday.
He got Rainey twice?
No. I don't know who the other loss is to. He has 4. So he has Hockaday twice and Rainey once. I don't know where the other loss is to. I know they went out of state.
Oh, yeah.
Once. So I do not have that on our sheet. I had got to start my who are your losses to.
See, that's a true story right there. My brother he thought you could just catch cats and keep them.
kind of like squirrels.
We never caught a squirrel, but I guess you guys catch squirrels.
Or iguanas in Mexico, and you're like, oh man, iguanas are everywhere. And you're like, yeah, they're like squirrels.
Next quarter bracket, we'll start in the bottom here. You got number 9, Landon Westerfeld, 44-2, took a loss in the semis to Hawkins. Real good match. There was a real good scramble in there. I thought Hawkins got put to his back. I thought they were going to call a fall. If it was a certain referee, not a lot of hair, probably would have been a defensive fall. The king of the defensive fall. It's a signature move.
Yes.
And he'll have once beaten senior from DeKalb, Drew Walden, number 12, 12-9. Drew coming back from a pretty significant injury. Took his first loss in semi-state final. He's a couple times semi-state qualifier. And on the top part of that, you got Cullen Crowley. We talked a bunch of really, really good things about him last week, how tough he is. He's a junior. He's number 14 in the state, and he draws 3-time defending state champ, undefeated. Jake Hockaday, Brownsburg, heading to Nebraska, trying to get the 4th state title. It's a pretty amazing career for Jake.
Yep, number 11. If he does accomplish it, it'll be the 11th 4-timer.
And you just heard Kevin Whitehead said, the first 2 years he won them. Love saying that name.
Yeah. Yep. Next quarter bracket, Tylen Thrine. So we got Hockaday and Thrine on the same side 2 years in a row.
That's tough.
Man, this is a brutal quarter bracket. And, not only do you have to go through, on that quarter bracket, you're going to have most likely to get through, you're going to have to go through Thrine, but to get in the finals, you're going to have to go through Hockaday too.
Yep.
He has Anthony Zaransky, freshman from Avon.
Who called that?
Coming with a
token
14 losses. Man, it's crazy to look at some of these guys, and we're not surprised these guys punch our tickets with 10+ losses because of the schedules they wrestle. Obviously, Avon wrestles a good schedule. They see Brownsburg in about 16 times a year. So if Brownsburg has a guy that's better than you, might as well just
he's probably got
5
three losses to Jake this year at least. 3 to Jake, 2 at the semi-state. So Schaefer has to be one of those. Goss, that's 5. I don't know where the other ones are coming from, but I mean, like I said, man, I think he took a little bit of time to adjust to that weight. He's pretty tough.
Crowley, Bowie, Hockaday, Goss, Schaefer, Hockaday, Goss, Schaefer, Goss.
Pretty tough list, though.
I mean, that's a who's who of the top 5 guys in the state.
He said, why don't we just throw Tylen Thrine in there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tyler Thrine, and then the bottom part of that quarter bracket, you have number 8, Hunter Douglas of Homestead, 34-4. Took third at the Fort Wayne Semi-State. And he'll have the East Chicago Semi-State runner-up, number 6 in the state, LT Hawkins. Sometimes it's Landon, sometimes it's LT. Junior returning 5th place finisher. So pretty good quarter bracket there. The 3rd place in a champ, 2-time state qualifier, and 5th placer. So that Hawkins match will be interesting. He's just stylistically tough. Like he's funky. He gets through some rolls. He's not gonna attack a bunch, but if you don't finish on him pretty quick, he's usually pretty good at locking up cradles and pinning people. He gets pretty good on top. It's hard to get off. So I think, him and Hunter Douglas is gonna be a really good match. And then I think that's an interesting match with Ryan Saturday morning. Ryan's an attack, a straightforward attack, and LT's a counter guy, and it could be an interesting match just to see the scrambles there.
Yeah, then Ryan's been wrestling really well right now, really dominating, and I know a lot of people were pretty impressed by him. Did he major Bowie, I believe? If I'm not mistaken.
And his 2 losses were at 38 at Carnahan. He lost to Braylon Reynolds, who we're about to talk about. And he lost to Donovan Allen from Marist, who's pretty explosive, Central Regional champ. So,
yeah, during the state series, his significant wins: pin, tech fall, major decision against Bowie, and then another tech fall. So he's hitting stride right now. So that's gonna be a fun quarter bracket, and then obviously really good half bracket.
I like him. He's a gamer. I wish that they're opposite sides of the bracket, but him and Jake in the semis, Jake majored him last year. So,
yeah, I think so.
Jake is pretty good if you're a reckless shooter. Jake's pretty good at every spot right now. But if you're someone that's not setting it up and just kind of diving at legs, he's even better. So you probably have to have a little bit cleaner setups there and get to your attacks.
Yep. Another good weight class here, 138. Dylan Ogg, Adams Central, tough sophomore, only 1 loss on the year. Comes in, you don't like those Flying Jets, do you? Number 18, his only losses to Ashingoni, who was ranked ahead of him for good reason. So he has Peyton Richards from Switzerland County, looking to be their first two 1A schools battling it out on Friday night for a state medal. Richards looking to be their first state placer. Santanio Sessa, Crown Point, should be a good match there against Jack Davis, number 11 versus number 10. So 9, 10, 11, 18, kind of a wide open bracket there.
Yeah, I'm sure all those guys are pretty happy with that draw. I think they're all probably looking at that and saying, we didn't draw 1, 2, or 3 in our quarter bracket. And, they put you in an opportunity to make a run. Obviously, Ogg, is it Ogg? Ogg. I like that.
Yeah.
47-1 sophomore. Yeah, probably disrespected. Probably could have been higher than 18. They lost to Goni. Goni had some other losses too. Richards wrestling really well. He took 2 losses at the semi-state. It was a really tough semi-state. I don't know what to say. Justice Thornton's there. He got a medal. Santonio Sessa, 10 losses. I'm sure he's happy not to be wrestling Josh England this weekend. They've kind of had some wars this season, like some actual battles. And Jack Davis, another junior, getting down there. So a lot of young guys in that top quarter bracket.
Yep. Another young guy, Braylon Reynolds from Brownsburg, wrestling really well right now. Avenged his only Indiana loss against Isaiah Schaefer. He has Liam Bumgardner first round, then Terry Easley, number 23, versus number 8, Josh England. So Reynolds, obviously, we knew there was a potential. We knew Reynolds and Schaefer were going to wrestle. We were just hoping that Stanley didn't draw the loser of that, and not. Unfortunately, someone else did. So pretty good quarter. Another good quarter bracket. Reynolds wrestling really well, avenging that loss. And
I know there was a lot of people on the board. We were there. I I didn't walk away from that Reynolds and Schaefer match and be like, man, that was a blowout. Like, I didn't feel like that at all. I actually thought it was a pretty good match. I thought I was intrigued at why Braylon was going arm spins in that situation. They're nice arm spins.
Yeah.
They were super nice. I think everyone there said if it was freestyle, he probably had, some big points. But he wrestled incredibly well at the Carnahan. So when people were like, yeah, Isaiah by major next time, I was like, I don't know if that's going to be true. So Braylon went out there and got it done. Liam Baumgartner, another guy we saw at Al Smith, real tough. Probably there's not really a good matchup to grab there as a 4.
Yeah.
Terry Easley, Josh England, that'd be an exciting one. Terry Easley was my sleeper pick to get a medal of the guys that weren't ranked before he was ranked. And England's wrestling real well, semi-state runner-up. Like I said, we talked about Sessa. He's had some wars with Sessa. His 6 losses, 3 of them at least to Stanley.
Yeah. Yes, he has quite a few losses to Stanley.
I'm sure if he wrestles Stanley again, he'd probably be really happy.
He has 1 loss to Sessa, Stanley, and then 1 to Amron Pratt, 11-10 from, I'm assuming, Al Smith. I guess I was thinking he wrestled Bumgarner. He did pin Bumgarner at Al Smith, so.
I'm assuming that if Josh England wrestles Stanley this weekend, he's probably going to be happy.
Yeah.
Next quarter bracket down. Justice Thornton, returning medalist, ranked 6th in the state. He has Henry Farrote, number 22. He's the Fort Wayne semi-state runner-up. Cade Zuber, not ranked, sneaking through 27-14 for Greenfield Central. I heard you shout out their schedule. They do wrestle one of the tougher schedules in the state. And he'll have undefeated sophomore, 39-0. Man, I don't know if Joe's on here, but I would be willing to bet of his 39 wins. I would say almost all of them are bonus point wins. And you can only wrestle who you go against, but I mean, obviously went out there, dominate the Al Smith, dominate the DAC, dominate the East Chicago semi-state. Did pretty well in Illinois last year, was in a weight with this kid. He's pretty good. Ben Davino. I don't know if you guys watch college wrestling. He's probably going to be Ohio State's 33 next year.
Yeah.
He already beat the 33 at Ohio State this year. He was number 1 in the country, so Evan got to see him a couple times last year. That'll be a good quarter bracket. And on the bottom quarter bracket, did you want to say something about that? I'm sorry, man.
Nah, go ahead. That's just a good quarter bracket. Thornton's wrestling well. Obviously, Stanley dominant, and we knew he'd have to go through. For Stanley to get a title, he's got to go through Schaefer. I mean, we've said that about 15 dozen times.
Schaefer and Reynolds.
Yeah. He's got, if he wants a title, he's got to go through them unless someone knocks those guys out earlier.
And Isaiah Schaefer, he's a 3-time medalist currently. He decided to take the hard path. He'll open up Friday night with a incredibly tough freshman from Cowan, 35-4, Ashton Goney. He's 17th in the state. And then he'll have the winner of Cooper Wilkins, who's 31-10, and Gunnar Butt, who's 35-2, who he beat at the Evansville Modern Day Classic. And Butt has a medal. I know I seen Sarah going at his dad a little bit early on when Ryan was still there. They were getting a little chippy on the board or on the social media. So possibly set up a semifinal match with Evan Stanley and Schaefer. Both those guys get after it, man. I like the way those guys wrestle. Schaefer, I feel like he's never out of good position. Holds position as well as anybody in the state. Like just a real clean defensive wrestler. And then not that he's all defense, but he's very
patient.
Yes.
He picks his spots really well. We've said it multiple times, but he looked really good at Iron Man. He got beat by a pretty good kid and came back, just battled, and in those matches you just gotta stay honest for 6 minutes and look for your opportunities, and he got those opportunities and took advantage of him and ran into a 7th place finish, and that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and Stanley's a guy that puts up points, man. He's a guy that's gonna he does some things, and it's just like wrestling shouldn't look that easy. And I think spending the year at Mount Carmel wrestling with Seth Mendoza, I think really helped him for some of the positions and some of the stuff that he does. I think that'd be really good.
Yeah. and you gotta have a gas tank to be able to practice. I
There's
can't
a-
imagine Mendoza. I see him in matches. I get tired watching him in matches. I can't even imagine him in a practice. He just go like constantly.
Congrats, Wally. I'm sorry. Congrats, Wally. Gunner Buck getting down and again.
Yep,
Turning.
Gunner has had so far a pretty darn good career, and well, he still has one more year, right? Yep, yeah. So
Rocking some of the best hair in the state too.
yes,
Peep that in the Parade of Champions.
oh yes. So our last weight we're going to talk about 144, Jeffrey Hybert of New Prairie in a good position, 40-0, looking really good this year. He has Dakota Willoughby from the Fountain Central Mustangs. They're a horse of some nature. That should number 23 in the state. And then you got Kevin Tom from sectional 6th place finisher to state qualifier. And Peyton Hornsby, number 4. So you could have a 1-4 quarterfinal. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and Hornsby's wrestling really well. It's 31-6. Kind of keeps running into Tommy Gibb, the biggest bully in the weight class, from what I heard one time. And not that he's a bully in real life, just on the wrestling mat. I don't know. I'm well enough to say that. Jeffrey Hybert looked phenomenal at the semi-state. Every time I've ever seen him wrestle, he's wrestled really well. State takedown record last year. This year, he's incredibly good on top. I think he fools people with all the takedown talk, because once he gets on top of people, he's churning them. He's really good, man. I know he rocks Flieger trained. I know that's like the prize guy. He's pretty phenomenally good. It'll be interesting to see how he does this weekend. I know he's been there twice. Biggest bully on the mat. Okay, I want to just clarify. But looked really good. It wasn't in like Luke Reed's tough, and there was no one close to him at East Chicago.
Yep. Yeah. So that's going to be good. Peyton Hornsby's really tough. Has a lot of national success. So going down, you got Bryce Doss, number 3, another good new pal wrestler. He has Lincoln Frazee of North White, the other Logan Sport rep.
Hold on, let me. That was we'll talk about when we get to time. It was just a joke. It was something we were talking about before.
Yeah. Frazee carrying the other half of Logansport on his back. He's a little bit bigger, so he can handle that. Cohen Long of Columbus North, sophomore. I believe he's Triple B trained. Has Wyatt Hoppus, number 7 of Yorktown, having a good junior year. So, you got some guys. All the guys have numbers beside their names, so it should be a good quarter bracket.
Yeah, Lincoln Frazee, I believe he was a 5th place finisher at the sectional last year too. So don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure though. He took his first 2 losses Saturday at the East Chicago semi-state. Not the easiest spot for him with Bryce Doss. Doss once beaten senior. I think that one's out of the tournament now. And then Hoppus and Long will be a good one. Long probably a little underrated there at 25. I think I don't remember why I dropped him down. I think he had a weird loss. But Hoppus took his first 2 losses in the state tournament also.
Yeah. Yes, he
Well, one of them was the DOS, right? He lost to DOS before the state tournament.
He lost to DOS 11-2. And he did he beat Hagwood earlier in the season and lost to him at semi-state. So good quarter bracket. Next one, the best, my favorite, Brody Hagwood, Prairie Heights Panthers, 3rd time at state. He's got tough. Chase Klein is wrestling real well. Sophomore with nothing to lose, really. That's one of those things that as a you see a kid like that, he's got a lot of guys there with him. He's going to train hard and be ready.
Yeah, that's the truth right there. You see, that's Black Oak, born and raised, boy. Tony Reiser running wild from Wild Dogs is part of the training coming in the Oaks.
How close to is Black Oak to Small Farms?
Black Oak and Small Farms are kind of right on each other. It's like an outside. I already tell you about the Small Farms right by Lake Etta. I mean, I guess that's probably more Gary, but I mean, they go to Calumet.
You know, it's a good episode when you're talking Black Oak.
Man, Artie's the mayor of Black Oak, man. If you guys ever go to Black Oak, you can get in some trouble. You tell them about Artie Fowler, man.
Yes. Okay. So Hagwood versus
Klein.
Chase Klein. That should be a good one. The Hagwoods, as you said, they're fun to watch. They get after it. They like to flex. They think they're strong. They have a kind
After
of
they win or before the match?
After they win, I think they're jacked or something. I don't know. They whatever. Weird twins. Twins are always weird. Alex Planteco of Ron Kelly, number 16 versus number 6 Luke Reed. Jason Cook trained. Should be a good quarter bracket right there.
Is he Jason? Oh, Jason Cook. I think he starts this. I was like, what? I think
Close
he's
enough. I mean,
I was like, I think he's a how
train. Mixed up.
Yeah, no, I like Luke Reed. I like that he dropped that. He's like a Pan Am's champ in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Really nice kid. That'll be a tough one Friday night with Platenko. I'm sure we have the enunciation on the board now. Reed, 2-time qualifier now? Or was it ticker under his freshman year? A 1-time qualifier. It's right here in front of me, just a 1-time. Yeah. Klein broke my bracket at Evansville. I did not have him getting out, so congratulations to him. He's not in the rankings. Brody Hagwood, probably one of my favorite guys to wrestle at the Al Smith every year. Like you said, those guys put up points, man.
Yep, and that's kind of what he did in the finals against Hoppus. Got him to his back early, and then they're hard to score on. And anytime you get a good wrestler and they get a big lead early, it's going to be hard to come back from. Last quarter bracket, we're going to talk about Tommy Gibbs, the bully. Tommy the bully.
We had to kind of put that into perspective. I think someone thinks I'm being serious.
Yeah.
We were talking about a duel and a matchup somewhere. I don't remember what match it was. And a Brownsburg parent said, Tommy, the biggest bully on the mat, he like roughs people up. He's too strong. So that was what it was in reference to. I don't know if he's a bully. I'm just joking. I know he's strong. I know his family like owns a gym, like a CrossFit gym. I know he lifts weights. I know he's a Fargo All-American. I'm sure he's the nicest kid ever.
Yeah. He seems like a pretty nice kid. He seems pretty quiet. Has a nice mustache too. So Gibbs has Jacob Unger, unranked, unloved.
He's ranked in the semi-state. Shout out to Caleb. Yeah. Almost got him all right.
Well, Unger was semi-state ranked, I think. Yeah. He only missed one, and it was the heavyweight. It was Reynolds from Garrett busted his streak. So then the bottom quarter, Logan Haney, state medalist 2 years ago, 106 pounds. He has Sam Bustamante from the Bishop Chatard Trojans.
That'll be an interesting one Friday night. Haney 22-12. Again, I think he's ran into some pretty tough competition. Carnahan and Ironman, you're taking probably 4 off of that, and then you wrestle some tough ones. But Bustamante is good. He's really good. 36-4 on the season. So if CP wants to make a run, they're going to need that one. Tommy Gibb in a really good spot. Had a terrible semi-state last year. Draw. Probably not a good semi-state either. Didn't probably wrestle as well as he wanted to in that match, but in a good spot here to possibly make a run to the semis and maybe be under the lights for the Bulldogs.
Yep. So that was a good episode. Thanks to Kevin Whitehead for joining us. That was pretty cool. So got a lot of information about kind of what he like. I'm sure he's like looking at some of those names like, yes, that's a cool name. I love that one. And just some of the cool things that I guess never realize. We're just reading names. We're not announcing that stuff, but it's kind of cool to see that.
You didn't hear the mic on Saturday then. You're on the gym half and half though, only halvesies.
Yeah, I did not hear that. So maybe I'll have to make a trip over to East Chicago one of these days. Will you guys get me do you have suites there? I like the suite.
We can get you down on the floor pass. You just got to hook Tony up.
Yeah, I got to slip him a 20 or 100. What?
Hey, you want to talk about the real bullies? He was a bully off the mat. He was twisting arms and taking milk.
Tony the bully riser.
Again, I think people thought he was going to be smaller in real life. He's only about 6'2", 220.
Yeah. Is he going to be our bodyguard this weekend or what?
He'll hurt some people's feelings. He talks faster than I do. That they'll be walking away like, what did he say? What happened one time? Joe was there.
Yeah, yes.
Me and Tony were talking too fast and yelling. Some guy didn't know what happened. I think he got nervous.
Oh boy. Oh geez. So
That was
we'll
first
be back
year.
tomorrow night. Just so you guys know, talk the other half of the weight classes. I don't know. Maybe should we rank something or what? Maybe we'll text.
I think we got some stuff to rank. I mean, I wanted to do best finals matches. I guess we could do that after the finals.
We can do that before. I want to do singlets. I think singlets would be cool.
Ooh, I was already working on this like before we got Kevin Whitehead booked on. My top, my favorite state finals matches of all time. I had a handful of them. It probably doesn't have to be under the lights, right? Do you want any state finals match?
Any state finals matches. There's no rules. There's no rules. The only rule is there are no rules. So we're gonna do singlets and we're gonna model them.
All right, I'll stop eating today.
Make the cut.
Yeah. All right, your boy's gonna tone it up.
Yeah, that'll go over real well.
Yeah, they run the picture up there. Tony got it. Put it in the comments. See a young buck. He'll get a spray tan. Can't be all pasty on this thing.
Yeah.
But no, I think that'd be a cool one to rank the best finals matches, stuff that we like. And
yeah,
I think the coolest thing is when we're ranking things, the comments what people are putting in there that they like also.
Yeah, I love that. I love the comment. Like, dude, the best wrestlers, that really got a lot of that. Man, I had like 180 comments, and I know someone kind of got on me about my number one pick, and it's kind of fun and interesting. I asked you and Dustin before the show. I was like, there's one that I could I was like, should I be a homer? And you guys are like, yes, you have every right to be a homer.
You like Brussels sprouts?
Yeah. No.
I do. So
yeah,
people can be upset about it. We have different opinions.
Yes. Yeah. So it was just one of those things that I, as a homer, and yes, I'm checking it right now.
You don't have to put that up. I was just joking. I mean, I don't really want a bodyguard for this weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my! Oh geez, man, you're jacked. You got some guns there, man. You must look like you might be part Hagwood.
145, sir.
Yeah, more jacked than they are, but yeah.
I said the same thing because that was back in those heavyweight cutting days.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's what's cool about it's something we kind of just started when we did the Thanksgiving thing, and now we're finding other things to rank, and it's kind of fun to see other people's opinions and kind of ruffle some feathers with not putting macaroni and cheese on my Thanksgiving list. Yeah, I don't know, the Joseph Walker and the freshman busted.
I think they're thinking of Donahoe, but was that Joe Walker that wrestled Donahoe in the finals?
Yeah, no, that was Brewer, wasn't it? Brewer wrestled Donahoe.
He was leaking from the beginning.
He got busted in the nose early. Let's see. There's a website for that class of 2000. It was a Brewer. Yeah, it was Brewer.
What did he end up doing? The Michael Jordan of wrestling.
He's at Northern Colorado now, hanging out with one of our buddies from G-Town, Hayden Brady. Yeah, he's wrestling for. I saw his name in like a result. I'm like, whoa, he's still around. So, yeah. So, So we'll rank like top favorite finals matches.
I'll do more research.
Yeah, I'll do some research, and probably will be within the last 25 years because that's kind of when we've seen the matches. And
2001 on. So if you have any, or not 2001, so 1999 on. So 1998, if you like Leroy Vega and Greg Schaefer, it's not going to be on my list.
Yeah, that'd be 97.
If you liked Dan Spencer, Triple B, it's not going to be on my list. It wouldn't be on my list anyways.
Nah, it'd be the worst state finals matches.
Dan Jankowski, Jason Tabor, not going to be on my list.
Yeah, Unfortunately, no. I mean, some of those might be on YouTube, so we might be able to watch them. So, still not the same as being in the arena and hearing the roar. So, yeah. So it should
Brent
be
Surface. Who did Brent Surface wrestle in the finals? That one might be on my list. I'm not gonna put it on my list, but I remember the fire alarm went off and we had to leave.
Oh, jeez.
I thought it was like a light show. I thought like WWE wrestling was coming on.
You're gonna hear someone's music.
I thought it was Chris Jericho coming out. It was the countdown.
Surface wrestled Jeremy Van Alstyne in 2002, and he beat John Wolf in 2003.
It might have been John Wolf.
Yeah.
I think I was coming back from Bloomington.
See,
it was a long night.
I don't remember the fire alarm on that one. It would have been the fire alarm because I was not there. I was there in 20.
What year was Darrell Kelly like a third placer for Michigan City, like in a 215? It was the same year.
I'd have to look on somewhere else. I was just looking at the finals matches, but a lot of good finals matches. So I don't remember him there. But yeah, the Alex Dolly Blake Maurer match. Ooh, that was a good one. I was looking at some of these 1-1 OT criteria.
Dang, I did not know that. I'm sorry. Like we were just joking. I didn't know Dan Spencer passed away a few months ago.
That sucks.
It does suck.
So, man, not good news.
I know that's Maryville State champ.
So anyway, schedule for this week. I'll be putting out some more articles. Just put out the pick'ems. So check those out. Do them. I have a nice little bracket thing. You fill out the bracket, and then I'll have like a little link. You can do the pre-fills in all your pick'ems. So you can. I always have trouble with state because you got to figure out where everyone drops down and stuff. This fills it in for you. It does, as I said earlier, if you put like a score, like a 15-0, that'll be a tech fall. You can go to a tab that has the teams, and it'll tell you basically who you would, if your pick'ems were exactly correct, who would win state. So if you are a Crown Point homer, Dog Pound Red, if you're watching, I think we might
Dog Pound Red keep commenting on your Facebook posts.
Yeah, yes, it might be Pib.
He's got some.
Dog Pound Red's gonna have them breaking the scoring record about 350.
It was 2003.
Dude, okay. With the fire alarm?
Yeah, fire alarm went off right in the middle of the match.
I don't remember that. Maybe we left. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Oh, boy's having some Dog Pound Red comments in your Facebook posts.
Yes, he is. So look for some more articles. We're gonna try to get the media guide out. Who do you want in your corner? That's always a good pot stirring post. And then
I always feel like that one's weird too. Like, and I'm not like, dude, I get it, man. Hey, I love my coach as much as anybody. And I'd be the guy too, like, bro, I want my head coach. That's not what we're doing. We're not saying your head coach was bad. We're just saying these guys have a better, higher percentage winning percentage on Friday night. Yeah. We're not trashing anybody.
So, McGinley, just kind of interesting stats because I'm looking at the old one. McGinley got his 100th state placer last year.
Pretty good.
And how many does Snyder have now? He has 95. So he's 5 away from 100 too.
It's pretty good too.
Yeah, that's not too shabby having 100 state coaching 100 state placers. I mean, there's some Hall of Fame coaches that haven't coached 10. So
I was just having that talk with Jim Watkins about like two guys that like coached for a long time in like communities that probably needed them. I think he said Bill Raby, the coach at Whiting, and Dan Moore, the coach at Lake Station. They never got to walk under the lights, but like when they had their retirement parties, had like over 200 of their former wrestlers show up. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. You see a lot of those guys that are around for a long time, so should be kind of interesting. I always like putting that together and just seeing. I mean, this is last year's McGinley 76%. He's had 127 state qualifiers, 97 at that time placers. That's just ridiculous.
Pretty good.
Derek Snyder's right behind him at 75.6%. That kind of stuff just blows my mind to have that kind of success with that many guys there. And that's not an accident. That's not 1 or 2 years of having really strong programs. That's having.
What's Coach Lorick at?
Coach Lorick right now, or last year, is 39 placers out of 52. He was 75% exactly. So, and I know that was probably that's.
And they got what they had last year? 10 placers, 9 placers,
9 or 10 out of 11. I think they have 11 guys. 11,
yeah, they keep running down 10 plus guys a year.
Yeah,
he's gonna run up that list pretty
actually,
quick.
I can look at his profile right now. It should have he has 48 for 164 out of 64.
Very good.
I mean some of these guys are state championship percentage would be pretty darn good on just the qualifier percentage.
Jim Watkins undefeated under the lights, sir.
Yes.
You put a Calumet guy under the lights, they're winning. So you guys are all lucky this weekend. Ain't no one making a run.
Yes. So, okay. With that, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us. We had a great time, and we'll be back tomorrow. Probably a little bit shorter, but we'll be talking the upper weights, and everyone have a good evening.